You're pretending to not understand my question because you understand that your argument is falling apart. Either you bite the bullet on the CIA thing or you don't. I can't help you here. You hung yourself here. You walked yourself in a circle. So you've demonstrated that you're full of shit again. Because in one breath you tell me there is anti-China sentiment among Uyghurs, and in the next breath you tell me there is no anti-China sentiment against Uyghurs.
I don't think it makes me stupid.
You don't think it's stupid to take the word of a government you admit censors information it gives out to people and take that as evidence that they're not doing anything wrong? That doesn't sound stupid to you. Try calling this guy in, pick up. Alright, Mr. Furry Avatar Man, Mr. Ratchet himself, how are we doing tonight?
Oh, we doing good, man. What's up, bro?
Not much.
So let's talk about why you believe Chinese people are raping and killing Uyghurs.
Can you state my argument correctly, or is that hard for you to do?
Wait, what do you mean? You believe in genocide, right? In the forced sterilization.
Okay, so forced sterilization isn't rape, so let's be clear about what I'm saying.
Wait, it's rape though, because it's being forced. Isn't that rape?
Sterilization isn't a sex act. So they are being forcibly sterilized, which is also bad. Just want to make sure we're using the right words, okay? They're not necessarily being killed. I don't see any evidence of that. I see evidence that they are basically trying to force down their birth rate, which their birth rate has gone down. And I'm seeing forced labor camps, the concentration camps that they have them in, basically the intimidation of families in ways that Han Chinese are not intimidated when they violate family planning laws. And the evidence that I see for this is from government statistics from the Chinese government, state documents, interviews with ex-detainees. A former camp instructor has come out with evidence. You can look at the birth rates that are plummeting for the Uyghurs. You can look at the fact that the sterilization rate in Xinjiang, I'm probably butchering the pronunciation of that. The sterilization rate is soaring while the national rate of sterilization is not soaring. You can look at the budget and government documents from your buddy Andrew Zenz, who for some reason you seem to hate. I wonder why. The satellite imagery that was leaked in the BuzzFeed leak of all the imagery of all the camps. They have the images of the camps being built. They have the images of the camps being there, and then the factories being built near them. And you can literally see the people in all their little red uniforms being ferried between the two. Okay.
I get it. I've seen all of it. I've seen a video protest of Uyghurs claiming they got raped and that babies are getting killed by Chinese people.
All right.
The reason why I don't believe all of what you're saying
Also, wait,
is because
sorry.
in my opinion, the evidence is not concrete, right? In other people's opinions, they think that those evidence it's enough, it's like concrete. So they're gonna believe that Chinese people are raping Chinese Muslims. But in my opinion, I don't believe that. Because the evidence is not concrete. But in China's info, their evidence is more concrete. That is why it's more believable.
Okay,
So you can say that the birth rate is going low, or they're doing forced sterilization, forced labor, concentration camps, all that, destroying the Uyghur culture or whatever. But the evidence isn't strong enough. That's why I don't believe it.
Okay, so I'm glad we're calling Uyghurs Chinese Muslims now, because before it sounded like we were
Well, they are
differentiating. And I know, and it sounded like before.
They didn't speak Mandarin.
I don't know if I could finish my point here. It sounded like before we were differentiating between Uyghurs and Chinese people. I'm glad we're recognizing that they are Chinese people now. And I can't speak to whatever individual claims you saw on TV, whatever. I'm not talking specifically about that. I'm talking about the research I've done. And it's not that it's being done by random Chinese people. That's being done by the Chinese government and agents of the government. That would specifically be the claim, not that random Chinese people are going around killing the Muslims.
That doesn't make any sense. That means you're saying the Chinese government admits that they're doing forced sterilization.
I'm saying that government statistics and documents that were not supposed to be leaked from the government were, and that is why we know about the specifically the documents that Andrew Zenz gave. Okay, so when you say that the evidence is not concrete, what concrete evidence would you need to be convinced that this is true?
Actual footages with the right context of Chinese Muslims getting raped by Chinese people.
Okay,
That is
so
the concrete evidence.
again, I'm specifically talking about the
But there's no such footage of that.
Excuse me. I'm specifically talking about the forced labor camps, the forced sterilizations. I'm not talking about whatever random rape thing you're talking about from one specific instance.
Okay. So you're saying forced labor, but in my opinion, it seems like they're doing labor to make money, and when they make money, they make a better living out of themselves because they're provided with jobs.
That's really
How
funny.
did they get these jobs then? How did they get these jobs in? Oh, because they need to learn skills, and it's called vocational training centers.
So, no, a lot of these people are. Sometimes it is true that they're convinced to go to these camps because of marketing that's sent out. Oh, you can go, you can work in. I think what the phrase they use is semi-military arrangement where you're working on this camp and you do this. A lot of these people are sent there against their will. A lot of them are actually not paid. I can look in my research in my notes here for those examples of that, but I want to ask you again.
Yeah, but
I want to ask you again.
I can do the same thing too. I can look at my own research and says those are false claims.
Okay, we could talk about that if you actually have the
at the end of the day.
Excuse me, if I could finish.
Let me talk. I think you talk more than I'm talking.
Okay, I'm getting out the chess clock, okay? Because I'm not gonna let you do this to me. But keep going. Keep going.
At the end of the day, we both have our own opinions, but I believe that the evidence isn't concrete.
Okay, cool. So we could talk about whatever sources you want to throw my way later. At the current though, but I'm asking you, so in order for you to believe that there are detention centers, forced labor camps, where Uyghurs are being sent against their will, and where people are being forcibly sterilized, you would need footage of them sterilizing them in the hospital room? Is that what you're saying? And for you to believe that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Do you understand?
Just like the pics and footages in Abu Ghraib torture, right? Americans don't want to believe that the Anglos raped and killed Muslims and bombed them. You need footages. You need concrete evidence. and those footages and pictures are released. That's why it is believable.
All right, I'm gonna put this to you now. I know I've said this before.
The strongest concrete evidence of Chinese Muslims getting raped and killed and being mistreated is video protests of supposed Uyghurs claiming that they got raped and killed.
Actually, we have a much more stronger evidence. We have much stronger evidence than just footage of protests. In fact, that's nowhere in my notes of the evidence that I gave you a summary of at the start of this conversation.
Tell me the strongest evidence. Just go. You don't have to. You don't have to talk all smart. Just go with the. Just go.
Don't have to talk all smart. All right. If I would get to my point, if you would stop cutting me off every time I started talking.
Go.
I could get to my point if you stopped cutting me off and talking over me every time I start. You're still doing it. That's why I'm waiting for you to stop. That's why I'm not doing it. It's because you're still egging me on. So calm down. So do you understand that your standard is absolutely ridiculous and that no normal human being acts this way? That you, in order to know whether or not that people are being forcibly sterilized, despite any documentation, if there's no footage, you just don't believe it. Do you understand how ridiculous that sounds?
Well, that's just your opinion.
That's not my opinion. Every human being with common sense knows that's ridiculous. If you have documentation of something from the government, from the companies, from the hospitals, if you have documentation from the government, from the companies, from the hospitals, and you have a paper trail, you have testimony from people who worked there, from people who were detained there, and for you to say that, oh, but I didn't see the video footage, but I didn't see the video footage of them getting sterilized, that's ridiculous. And you know it's ridiculous.
It's as really for the... Because this whole situation about Uyghurs doesn't make any sense.
Doesn't make any sense. Why doesn't it make sense?
Oh, I mean, the reason why there are vocational training centers and what China is doing to Xinjiang is because for the past 25 years, there has been terrorist attacks, extremism. People in Xinjiang are getting bombed, knifed, killed. Oh, and I can make up that lie, right? Well, I mean, I saw footages of it. So is it a lie? There's actual footages of innocent people in Xinjiang getting bombed, knifed, killed. So you can't just say, oh, it's Chinese propaganda. They're saying that. No, there's actual footage of that happening. 25 years of extremism, terrorist attacks, killing innocent people in Xinjiang. What does China do? All right, let's provide people jobs. Let's counteract extremism.
So I'm glad that we've moved past the part where you're denying that this is happening and now moving past the part as to why it's okay.
How am I denying it's happening? I already told you that I don't believe in it because there's no concrete evidence.
Okay, so that's you going back to denying it's happening.
Are ridiculous.
I think it's very interesting. We're
not going to go anywhere near this.
I think it's very interesting. I didn't come here to argue that there's been no terrorist attacks ever. That was never my position. I don't know why you would assume I would make that argument. I'm not going to make that argument. But it's very interesting how you're so adamant to say, oh, there's no forced detention, there's no sterilization, and now you're giving me all the excuses why they might go ahead and do that because you're afraid that this group of people, this minority in the country is...
I'm not afraid, though. Because
if I could finish my sentence, if I could finish my sentence one time, thank you. So now you're giving me the reason why, well, there's extremism among the Muslim minority, and so that's why they're doing this. That's not an argument about whether or not it's happening. That's an argument about why they might do it. So you could talk about the terrorist attacks if you want. I'm not going to deny that there might have been terrorist attacks. I haven't done research.
There might have been. There's actual footage of that happening.
I believe you. I just haven't done that research. I just haven't done that research for.
Oh, you haven't done that research because you don't.
Do you know why? Oh wait. Do you know why?
Because you only listen to Western propaganda side.
Do you know why I didn't research that for this conversation? Do you want to know? Do you want to know why I didn't do that research for this conversation? Do you want to know why? It's because that wasn't the topic. Do you understand that that was not the topic?
Well,
whether or not that there were terrorist attacks by the Uyghurs against Chinese people?
Because it involves Xinjiang. That is the topic. That is why.
We are not arguing about whether or not...
How's it irrelevant? How's it irrelevant to what...
I'm trying to explain it to you, but you keep talking over me because you don't want me to explain it to you. Because you know that when I explain it to you... You know that when I explain it to you... You know that when I explain it to you, you're going to look a little foolish, and you don't want me to make my point, because you know that when I make it, you're going to look foolish. The reason why...
I'm speaking my opinions, and you're speaking facts.
You're not speaking your opinions, you're speaking over me, and it's very rude. And the reason why you're speaking over me is because you know that you look foolish when I actually get to make my point.
I'm saying you're speaking facts, I'm just speaking my opinion.
I don't
Yeah,
care.
go on.
I don't care
Go
what
on.
your opinion is about whether or not, all Uyghurs or all Muslims are terrorists. I don't care. That's not the conversation that we were scheduled to have. I know that you sometimes have a lot of trouble
Well, I mean,
reading.
there's 3 branches.
I know that
And
sometimes you have a
some
lot of.
Uyghurs,
See,
Uyghurs
I
are
can't talk for more than
affiliated with
5
terrorism.
seconds. I'm recording this just so you know. I'm gonna have a little
Yeah,
timer.
same. I'm recording this too.
Yeah, I understand that you do because you have your little videos.
Yeah.
Okay, I understand. I know
Yeah.
what's going on.
Yep.
However, we're going to see how many times you cut me off and how long I get to talk until you decide you're gonna jump in. I don't know if it's because of an attention
Alright,
deficit
alright.
thing. I don't know if it's because you're just rude. I don't know if it's because you're just bad faith and that was your intention the whole time.
All right, just keep talking.
Thank you.
Go.
So as I was saying before I was interrupted, we are not having a conversation about whether or not there are terrorist attacks done by the Uyghurs that might have led to China implementing this policy. We're arguing about is the policy forced sterilization and forced labor at detention camps. So you could talk about the terrorist attacks. I'm not arguing that they didn't happen. I just didn't do the research for this conversation because that was not the topic of this
All right,
conversation.
talk about sterilizations.
Okay. So, let me drink a water here. Government statistics, state documents, and interviews with ex-detainees, including family members and a former detention camp instructor, show that there had been forced birth control implemented against Uyghurs by the Chinese government. They subject them also to pregnancy check, forces I don't know how to say this, intrauterine devices. Actually, that's exactly how you say it. Sterilization and abortions on the hundreds of thousands in order to rigidly enforce the family planning policies that China has, but they only implement these severe measures against the minority Uyghur Muslims. They don't implement that as severely against the Han Chinese. And you can see on a graph that I have here, I'll link it in the chat, the birth rate's dropping in the Uyghur areas in comparison to the national and the Hotan areas. So let me just link that. There you go.
Okay, I saw the chart.
Okay.
Now it's my turn to speak for
Yep.
a minute.
Go ahead.
All right, so I see the birth rate drops in Uyghur areas. Okay, and let's assume it's true. How come China's side says that it's not true at all?
Okay. Can you provide me some evidence that it's not happening?
I mean, I thought this whole time you told me that if I provided evidence, you would completely ignore it.
That's what I asked you for evidence. I never said I would ignore it. I don't know what you're talking about. Can you please provide me evidence that...
Yes, I'll provide you evidence.
Thank you. I don't know where you got
This
that. All
article.
right. What's the title of the article and who's the author?
No, I got the link for you.
Okay, so let me repeat that.
I'm trying to find the specific fact check.
Okay. Can I have the title of the article and the name of the author?
Oh, it says it right there.
Is it...
No, do you see the title? And you see it says from the source and the editor.
Okay, let me explain this again because I explained it in the YouTube comments and I guess you didn't read I am not clicking any random links you're sending me on Discord because you are a random person on the internet with a Ratchet and Clank emote. I'm just not going to click links you send me. Just give me the name of the article and the author so that I can search it up without clicking links that you send me. I don't know who you are.
Wait, it's right there though. The
What's
name's
right there? Is the name
title.
in the link?
Yeah, the name in the link. No, click the link. Just click the link.
Okay, I can tell that you have a hard
you're not-
time listening,
you're not gonna
so I'm
click
going
the
to say
link.
this a 5th time. I'm
Alright,
not
so the
clicking
title
random
says
links.
Lies on Xinjiang related issues versus the truth.
Okay. Lies on Xinjiang related issues. Versus the truth. From xinjiangnet.com. Gotcha.
Got you.
Okay. Some anti-China forces in the West, including the U.S., have concocted relation not about human rights, ethnicity, or religion, but about combating violent terrorism and separatism.
Oh no, scroll down.
Sure.
You see, this is where it says lie number 2.
Yep.
Adrian Zenz released reports claiming Xinjiang has carried out forced sterilization on Uyghur women. resulting in a sharp decline in the Uyghur population.
Okay.
And it has a fact check for you.
She's a member of far-right group, Victims of Communism Memorial Foundation. Well, I'm just reading.
I sent you a screenshot
Okay.
if you want to see, if you don't want to get off track, because there's a lot of facts and all this.
Of course.
This is a screenshot of about forced sterilization of Uyghurs.
Full of fabrications and data manipulation, so-called forced sterilization claims that 8% of those IUDs procedures the evidence is inconsistent with the facts, according to data from China Health Statistics Yearbook, published by the National Health Commission. According to the 2019 Xinjiang Statistical Yearbook, and I have the yearbook open here. Which is mostly written in Chinese. Oh, there's this. Okay, so what you're saying is they're citing the National Health Commission, which is part of the Chinese government, right?
I mean, these are the stats, and they counteract what the Five Eyes Alliance are saying.
Oh, the Five what Alliance?
The Five Eyes Alliance.
The Five Eyes.
The statements of the Five Eyes Alliance.
I actually don't know who the Five Eyes Alliance is. Could you illuminate me on that?
Oh, it's just America, Canada, New Zealand, Australia, and the British, or the UK.
Okay, so you're telling me that the governments of 5 different nations across a couple continents are
criticizing. They're criticizing China of doing sterilizations and rape on Uyghurs. They're claiming Chinese people are doing that to Uyghurs.
Yes.
But in China's side, they're saying, no, we're not. The Chinese people are supporting the Uyghurs and making their life safer and healthier.
Okay.
You know?
So,
but, it's just an opinion, right?
Do you understand? Do you understand that when 5 different countries point the finger at one country's government and provide statistics saying that they're driving down the birth rate of the minority, and then the government
for a reason.
I don't care what the reason is. I'm sure that you hate all Western countries and all their media is bad, blah blah blah. I understand that. And when the one country that's having the finger pointed at them goes, well, actually, we have our own statistics to say that we're not sterilizing people against their will. Do you understand how it seems like the evidence might be stacked against you? I mean, you're
How?
Because 5 different countries, multiple different countries, who all have trading. Who all have trading. What's the word I'm looking for? Relationships with this country, who would rather honestly stay on their good side. That's why they didn't do too much about it after this all came out. That's why Trump, as much as I hate him, didn't do much about it. And that's why Biden really hasn't done anything about it. There's countries that they have major investment in, or who have major investment in them, who have major trade relationships with, that they're coming out and saying, hey, they're doing some messed up stuff. And then the country is being accused saying that, oh, we have our own statistics saying we're not. Do you understand how, of course they're going to say that? That's not surprising. How is that evidence that it's not happening?
Well, of course they're going to say that, right? But the reason why I believe in China's side is because of the footages I've seen in the videos makes me believe China's side is right, and they make more sense. That's why I believe in China's side. And you do realize Muslim countries also support the policies in Xinjiang. You do realize that, right? Africa supports it too.
Africa supports it? I don't know why Africa is related.
And the majority of Muslim countries support the Xinjiang policies.
Why do I care?
Are you telling me that's a fake statistic too?
Why do I care what African countries think about China's Uyghur policy? Is it because they're all Muslims, so that means that that's now I have to listen to them?
I'm just pointing out that it's not 5 versus 1. It's not 5 countries believing against China versus one, which is only China. No, there's multiple other countries that are non-Five Eyes alliance that are siding with China's policies on Uyghurs. That's what I'm trying to say.
So, going through here, we can look at. I'm curious what videos you're referencing. We can look at those later. So as we go through here, so Xinjiang started tripling the hefty fines for violating family planning laws for even the poorest residents. The fines also applied to the Han Chinese, but only minorities were sent to the detention camps if they cannot pay the fines related to violating family planning. So if they had more than a couple kids, I don't remember what the number is exactly, they would say, hey, you're not allowed to do that. They would search your home for hidden kids, and then if they found any, they would, if you're pregnant, they would force you to get aborted, or they would send you to the detention camps. So this is stuff that has come from interviews with victims, with data from the leaks that we've been discussing, and the data from the Xinjiang hospitals.
It's not factual that it's leaked. You know what I mean?
It's not factual that it's leaked. Can you explain that to me?
All right. So you know how they leaked photos of Uyghurs. They're sitting down with their hands tied behind their back, or they're wearing like this blue outfit, or looks like there's footages of them being deported by trains. You know how they show that? Oh my God, Uyghurs, they have no violation. They have no freedom. It's a violation of human rights. This is crimes against humanity. There's real footage of that. You see, that's concrete evidence. But then, in the reality is, the context is they're not even Uyghurs.
I'm gonna be honest with you.
Isn't that funny? Isn't that funny how they're not even Uyghurs? Or they show footages, right, of a Chinese man beating up a Uyghur, and it's saying, oh no, Twitter spreads it out. That's so fucked up. You know what the context is though? It's an Indonesian police beating up a thief, not a Chinese guy beating up a Uyghur. Isn't that funny how Western media is so manipulative?
I think there's something I think there's something that is very funny here, and I do want to point this out so that maybe we can understand why we disagree so much. When I stitch together what's true and what's not, and I think this is actually a little bit brain cancer. I don't go to random videos on the internet or online that show people beating people up or show someone on a train. I don't look at YouTube videos or wherever videos you're getting these from. This is not what I do when I research a topic. If you want to show me these videos and say they're fake, that's fine. These videos weren't part of my evidence in the first place. If you want to point to the specific outlets, or if they even were media outlets that were sending around these videos, unless you just saw them on social media, and say that they did something wrong by showing these videos without context, that's fine. You're free to do that. That doesn't disprove anything about whether or not China is engaging in these human rights violations.
No, I just think the problem with this whole situation is there's too many lies, there's too much propaganda, and it's so hard to get around the truth of what's happening. That's why it's so hard for me to convince people that the situation in Xinjiang is not happening. And the videos that I've seen, right? I've seen both sides of the videos. China's side, it just makes more sense. And I've seen Western YouTubers, like people from Canada. One of the YouTubers named Daniel Dumbro.
No idea.
I believe he visited Xinjiang, and he has Uyghur friends that tell him what's happening in Xinjiang, and they see otherwise, and they're in favor with the Chinese people. That's why,
Do you understand
it doesn't make any sense.
That's
why it doesn't make any sense.
Okay. Do you understand how it sounds a little rich for you to complain about propaganda when earlier, when we were talking about whether or not sterilization was happening, your response was to cite the Chinese government statistics saying that it wasn't happening?
Yes, of course. No. Look, here's the thing.
So
right?
That's not propaganda. The propaganda you don't like, right?
Exactly.
Exactly. Yes, I agree.
No. Here's the thing. You can send all these articles, all this, all that, right? And then I would make an excuse. Oh, it's just Western propaganda. They're lying, right? Blah blah blah. And then people would get offended, like, what the fuck's wrong with this kid, right? And then I send you my info, China's info. They'll be like, oh, it's just evil communist China's propaganda. I don't believe in China news. They're fucking lying, right?
To be clear, China's state capitalist, not communist.
No. So it can't Yeah. Of course. China favors capitalism, but people still says fucking commies, fucking China, you know, right? But they don't know that they're actually capitalist.
The problem with
But
China isn't that they're communist. The problem is that they're authoritarian.
No, other than that, the propaganda cancels out, right? Oh, it's just China's propaganda, cancels out. Oh, it's just Western propaganda, cancels out. Now you have two stories. I hear America's story about Uyghurs, or no, Western media stories about Uyghurs. I hear China's stories about Uyghurs. I listen to both. Who do I choose? I choose the one that makes more sense to me, the one that has more concrete evidence to me, and that is why I chose China.
Okay, so this is irrational.
Yeah,
so you basically you're saying that the videos that you're randomly searching and bumping into make no sense to you. You're looking at narratives you see through videos that are circulating on social media, and you're watching propaganda on both sides, and then you're watching, and then at the end of that process, you decide which propaganda makes the most sense to you, and you think this is a good process by which to determine what is true?
Oh yes, that's why at the end of the day, I think this is my opinion. This is my opinion, and what I've seen. Whichever provides me more concrete evidence would convince me.
Okay, so, but by the way, evidence is the opposite of, like, providing evidence is different than propaganda, right? You understand that? Earlier it sounded like you were watching both sides propaganda, you didn't know what was true. Now you're saying, oh, you want, you look for the evidence. You understand that these are two different descriptions of how you're doing this, right?
Not really. I think they're similar to each other.
You think evidence and propaganda is similar?
You can just straight up lie, right? And people would believe in people. People can straight up lie and they'll believe you, right? That's just how the world works.
I don't know how that addressed anything I just said. You understand that propaganda and evidence aren't the same thing, right?
Well, I think they're similar to each other.
Okay, so if there's a accusation between different countries, and the country that's being accused says that they didn't do it, and they give you their own statistics saying they didn't do it, but multiple other countries are all saying they do it, you just believe the country that's being accused because, well, you know, it makes the most sense to you?
Well, multiple countries believe in Uighur genocide, right?
Okay.
And there's multiple countries that back up China, believing that their policies are correct and that there is no Uighur genocide.
Which countries? I'm just curious.
No, I say the countries that are out of the Five Eyes Alliance.
Which ones?
Well, I can't name it right now because I have to search it up.
Okay, well, you know what? Search up. You might want to search that up before you use it in the argument. I don't know. As I expected you.
You probably sound really confident in that you think that you're owning me, but it's fine. You can think whatever you want.
I'm just like when you keep you've repeated that multiple times. So you know, I started thinking I expected you to have an answer to that. It's just weird that you wouldn't.
Well, I mean, when I mentioned about the terrorism in Xinjiang, you're telling me, oh, you did zero research on that, blah 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 blah.
Correct, because that wasn't the topic we were discussing.
Well,
I know.
I didn't.
Maybe you need a caretaker.
I didn't laugh at you. I didn't laugh at you when you said that.
Well, that's because you shouldn't have, because it wasn't the topic of the conversation.
Well, I mean, I think I should have, because you're supposed to know everything about what's happening in Xinjiang.
No, I'm supposed to know everything about the topic that we were talking about.
Terrorism is the biggest problem of what happened to Xinjiang. You do realize this is why all this entire drama about Uyghurs and Xinjiang and all that is because of terrorism, because of extremism, and you did zero research on that.
Okay, you're going on your dialogue tree about the terrorism. I understand. Keep going.
Because you want to believe that China's evil, and it fits your narrative.
Actually, right? I'm not going to be honest with you. I am not simple-minded enough to believe that countries are evil or saints. Okay, so
the info that I provided you rejected your belief.
All right, repeat that 3 more times. All right, are you done? Are you done?
Yep.
Okay, so I am not simple-minded enough to believe that countries are inherently evil or inherently saints or inherently good or inherently bad. I understand that governments are made up of the representatives that the people to elect to fill them, and I understand that their job is not to be saints, they're not to be good, it's not to be pure evil. They have policies that they put in place, and in the United States, some of those policies are bad. You keep bringing up Abu Ghraib, or I'm probably butchering the pronunciation of that too, about how we...
You want to know why I keep bringing that up?
Can I finish my point, please?
Because there's concrete evidence of that happening.
I understand that. That's why everyone in my country understands that happened. You understand, right?
To Muslims, and all of a sudden they care about Uyghurs.
Okay.
It makes no sense.
So if I could finish my point without you cutting me off
Why
for
would
the
they
fifth
bomb
time.
Muslims but care about Chinese Muslims? Yeah, go on.
Yeah, if I could finish my point without you repeating something you've already said 5 times. So everyone in my country, majority of people in my country, probably acknowledge that that's happened. There's been stories other than that where we have mistreated people in the Middle East, obviously. People who weren't terrorists, people who were civilians, where they have died. We have done a lot of terrible things in the Middle East and a lot of terrible things to Muslims. And, you know, we have the... I know the name of the off-seas prison. It's just escaping me at the moment. We have a lot of terrible things. I am not under the delusion that my country is somehow saintly or somehow holy. You seem to be under the impression that China is somehow saintly or somehow holy, because you are the one who seems to be so narrow-minded that you think that countries are either all good or all bad, that they either do evil things or don't, or, you know, do only good things. And your whole conversation, you are trying to turn the attention away from China, which was the topic, by the way, on the United States to say, oh, they did bad things to Muslims. I understand that, and I don't care. That's not what I came here to debate. Also, again, you went back and said, oh, you should know everything about the topic. You don't know about this. No, I should know everything about what we agreed we were arguing about. I heard news about how the motivation for China was the terrorist attacks. I probably believe that happened because terrorism happens everywhere, and, you know, there are, you know, Muslim fundamentalists who commit terror. I just didn't research the specifics of that information because that wasn't the content of our conversation, and I'm not arrogant enough to think that without researching that I would know to what extent that extremism was happening. So I'm gonna give that to you because that has nothing to do with my argument. All right, go ahead.
All right, so you believe in that there's forced sterilization. How come there's a policy that there's no such thing as a one-child policy on Uyghurs, but there's a one-child policy for the Han?
Are you telling me that there is no family planning laws that apply to the Uyghurs that limit the number of children that they have?
Uyghurs don't have the one-child policy.
I'm not asking you about the one-child policy. I'm asking
Uyghurs
you...
don't have the one-child policy at all.
I don't care.
Since the very beginning of time.
I don't care. Are you telling me that there is no...
China respects them. Chinese people respect them. Right? And there's a one-child policy for the Chinese people.
All right, I'm going to answer you one more time. I don't care whether it's a specific policy that affects Han and not Uyghurs. I'm asking you, are you trying to tell me... Are you trying to tell me... Are you trying to tell me... I'm going to finish. You're not going to cut me off again. You can cut me off 20 times. It doesn't matter. Are you trying to tell me that there are no policies limiting the number of children that Uyghurs can have?
I didn't understand a single word what you just said.
Okay, that's probably because you were talking. That's probably because you were talking while I was asking the question. This is very simple sentence. If you're having trouble understanding this question, you're probably not listening because you're too busy talking. I believe that you are smart enough to hear the question I'm giving you. It's just that you are afraid to answer it because you know that it makes your previous point completely pointless. Okay, so I will ask it one more time. Are you trying to tell me that there are no Chinese policies that limit the number of children that Uyghurs can have?
Well, yes, of course. There's no one-child policy for Uyghurs.
Okay, you did not answer my question. You did not answer my question because you talked about the one-child policy. That's not what I'm asking you about. Because there are probably other different policies that limit the number of children Uyghurs can have. You're just trying to point to this one and pretend like the others don't exist. It's really silly. I wasn't born yesterday. I'm going to ask you again. Don't give me the one-child policy in your answer because it's not what I'm asking about. Are you telling me there are no other policies that limit the number of children that Uyghurs can have in China?
I don't understand a word. What
I'm telling you is that there are policies on the books, whether or not they're one-child policy or not, that limit the number of children Uyghurs can have. That is true.
What do you believe in? So you're saying that there are restrictions.
What do I believe in?
They can only have one child.
I didn't say they only had one child. Listen to the words coming out of my mouth because I've said this 20 times. You're pretending to not understand You're pretending to not understand my question because you understand that your argument is falling apart.
I don't understand what you're saying.
On recording. Yeah, you don't want to understand what I'm saying because it makes your whole argument fall apart. It makes you look a little foolish. It makes it look like you're being dishonest, which is what you're doing. So
I'm not.
Whether or
Because I've
not the
seen,
one-child
footages-
policy is specifically the policy that limits the number of children Uyghurs can have doesn't matter, because there are probably other policies that China has to limit the number of children Uyghurs can have. It's not the one-child policy, but there are other policies that limit the number of children Uyghurs can have.
Okay, there are other policies, but I don't believe in that.
But you don't believe in
You know
that.
why? You know why? You know why? Because China's influence says otherwise. So I'm not gonna believe that, right? Unless there's concrete evidence. Oh, but you're gonna.
So
say,
you are okay. So the answer is yes. You are telling me that there are no other.
But then you say. But then there are leaked documents of Chinese doing restrictions on Uyghurs, and doing forced sterilizations of leaked documents from the Chinese government, right? But I'm not gonna believe that because it's propaganda.
Okay, so the answer to my question was yes. You believe that there are no other laws that China has that limit. There are zero laws that limit the number of children Uyghurs can have. Uyghurs are allowed to have as many children as they can. So you believe that that's true? Okay.
Yes, I believe that. Yes, I believe that.
China's family planning laws are international knowledge. They just don't apply. They don't just apply to Han Chinese. They have family planning laws for everyone in their country. Well, you're giving me a bold-faced lie because you couldn't bite the bullet on your argument. You tried to make an argument and you didn't realize I was going to catch you on it. Okay.
No, I just don't understand what you're trying to say.
Okay. So
Because you still believe in forced sterilization and I don't. That's why I don't understand.
I was asking you about whether or not
where it's going.
they were allowed to have multiple children. We made that clear. You're trying to bring it back to sterilization, which is a topic we addressed previously because you realized that you got blown out in this one, but we can move on to
let's all right. Oh, no. Let's start all over the entire conversation. Make things really fresh. You know, right?
Okay.
Hey, I agree with you. I've been shouting. I've been being too loud and obnoxious and all that shit. I agree with you. So let's start everything all fresh about the Uyghurs from the very beginning, very beginning. All right, let's start now. You go first. Go.
Okay. So there are Xinjiang hospital slides talking about pregnancy prevention injections that were given to people against their will. There are the documents that I referred to that you do not believe in, that you don't want to consider because considering it would be inconvenient, and you would rather say that there's no footage and say that we should believe the statistics from the Chinese government. That is the entity being accused, because why would they have a stake in this, I guess? And we have budget documents obtained by your favorite guy, Andrew Zenz, showing that the Xinjiang government began pumping tens of millions of dollars into birth control. I have another graph for you here. I can link it if you desire. You can link me the Chinese version of it if you so desire. There's that graph.
I see the graph.
All right, we'll rattle on for a minute there. Anything you want to say?
All right, so there's information. Western media, Adrian Zenz claiming that there's a sterilization in Xinjiang. Birth rates are going low, and the Uyghurs are facing, violation of human rights and all that. Blah blah blah. But the sources are, I say 90% to 95% of the sources about Xinjiang, like of anti-China sources, is from Adrian Zenz. But Adrian Zenz, from what I've seen, he works for the CIA. So the sources, they're not as trustful, in my opinion. And China's source says otherwise, that there is no sterilization and that the Uyghurs are living a safer and healthier life thanks to the Chinese government. That is why I don't really believe in these statistics, because this is all CIA related. And Adrian Zenz works for the CIA and Mike Pompeo.
Give me one second. Okay. Where do you see that Andrew Zenz works for the CIA? Can you send me information on that? Because that's not a matter of public record. I'm really curious how you know this about him.
Well, Mike Pompeo promotes Adrian Zenz, and Mike Pompeo, he's known to be an Islamophobe, right? He's known to be an Islamophobe,
hate Mike.
While at the same time, Mike Pompeo claims that, I love Chinese Muslims, I love the Uyghurs, and Chinese people are raping and killing them. We must stop China and end to this. It's like a demonization of China.
Okay, so I hate
And Mike Pompeo supports Adrian Zenz. He supports him, and Adrian Zenz is the one that believes in sterilization.
Okay, so I think you asked me whether or not I think I asked you whether Andrew Zenz or Adrian Zenz, excuse me, whether Adrian Zenz or Mike Pompeo had a love affair. That wasn't really my question. You said he promoted him. You didn't give any specifics about that. My question was, how do you know Adrian Zenz works for the CIA?
Well, I can't find the exact words, but I've seen articles of it, right?
You've seen articles saying that Adrian Zenz works for the CIA?
Articles and videos.
Wait,
YouTube videos.
you saw videos of him working for the CIA?
No, claims that he works for the CIA.
Okay, so you saw people. Okay, can we talk about this? You saw people on YouTube say that he works for the CIA, so you believed it, but you will not believe when I give you leaked government documents that sterilization statistics are accurate. Do you see how it's a little silly?
Well, yes, because there's not enough concrete evidence.
But it's concrete evidence that Adrian Zenz works for the CIA if a YouTuber says he does.
Well, I mean, the YouTuber said that while showing screenshots of everything of why Adrian Zenz is affiliated with the CIA.
So what was in those screenshots?
Alright, let me link some videos.
Okay.
You can watch this video later.
Sure.
You can watch it later because it's 17 minutes long.
I can watch it later.
No, these are the sources, but you don't have to watch the video because, it's the same thing how you're sending me sources of like statistics and all this and articles, and you're telling me all these leaked documents, right? But I don't have to watch it. All I need to know is, all right, that's your evidence, and this is my evidence.
Do you think there's a difference between linking a video made by a social media commentator and linking documents and statistics? Do you think these two things are different?
No, I think saying this and that, articles, blah, 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 this is happening, the other side's denying it. I think it's the same thing. Articles, video protests, all this, they're all the same thing. But the concrete evidence is a bit different.
Okay, so this might just be my biased Western school, upbringing, but when we talked about when I was a growing boy in like middle school and high school and on about how to get sources of information, articles were a yes and YouTube videos were a no. Are you telling me that the teachers who taught me that were wrong? I know I'm being a little hyperbolic here. I just think it's a little rich that you can't believe the documents in the articles I'm linking you, but you believe this guy's YouTube video saying that Adrian Zenz works for the CIA when that doesn't even matter for anything, except for you to say that he's a liar, I guess.
No, just because there are leaked documents doesn't mean that document is true. Right? You can just straight up make up a lie and say there are leaked documents. You can straight up make a lie and say, "Oh, there are leaked documents." Straight up a lie, and people would believe it. Okay. That's why I think saying leaked documents is not concrete evidence. In my opinion, right? The most concrete evidence of what is happening to Uyghurs in Xinjiang is Uyghurs being interviewed in Xinjiang about what's happening in their lives. And Western YouTubers...
The ones that are in the camps or not in the camps?
No, Xinjiang in general.
Okay, so not in the camps. Go ahead.
Well, I don't think camps exist, so...
Wait, we have satellite images of the camps. How are you saying the camps don't exist? I thought you just thought that they were...
The camps don't exist because it never existed.
I was under the impression that your argument was that they're just not going to the camps, against their own will. Now you're telling me the camps don't exist at all?
Well, they don't exist at all, and it's not necessarily a camp. It's more of a... My brain's so fried. Vocational training center.
Are there fences with barbed wire around these vocational centers?
Well, see, that's one of the things why I don't believe in Western propaganda, right? They say that, oh, look at these barbed wires, look at these fences, right? Oh, is it really a detention camp in Xinjiang? Is it really? Isn't that the same Western propaganda? that showed footages of a Chinese man beating up a Uyghur, even though it's an Indonesian police beating up a thief?
Okay,
Isn't that like?
I don't know where
isn't
you
that
got
the
this
same
YouTube
concept?
video. I don't know what YouTuber you saw who posted that video and said it was a Uyghur. I'm not terribly invested in that because that's not part of my argument.
You know, but what I'm
Again, so
saying
it
is
sounds
it's
like we
the
moved
same
again.
thing. It's the same thing.
It sounds like
Like,
we
it's the
moved
same
again. Sounds like we moved again
same
to saying
thing.
that they do exist. They're just vocational centers. Right?
Well, they don't exist.
Okay.
Camps don't exist.
So there are no vocational centers and no camps.
No. Well,
So there are vocational centers, and that's what people
vocational
think are
training centers
concentration
do
camps.
exist, but camps don't exist.
Okay. So
Because a concentration camp would be like a violation of human rights, oppression, blah 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 blah.
Okay.
Crimes against humanity.
Right.
That would be considered a concentration camp, right? A Holocaust. But it's not, because that's not what it's happening.
Okay, so to be clear, your argument is that the centers that I have satellite images of, they exist, but they are not detention centers. They are vocational centers. That's your argument, right?
Well. I mean, the satellite images, right? There's people saying that those aren't even detention centers, and it's out of context.
There are people saying. Who are the people saying, and why do you believe them? I'm just linking some random photos. You can do with this what you want, but who is telling you that these images, for example?
No, exactly. I see all these images, right?
Okay.
It's still vague. It's still vague.
It's
And
still
there's people
vague.
that says that.
Do you understand
Yeah,
that's
it's
not an
vague.
argument?
It's vague.
What's
There's-
vague
there's
about a
a-
satellite image? Can you explain that to me? That doesn't make any sense.
Because you can lie about the labels of the buildings. Right? You can lie about the labels of the buildings. Oh, this is that. This is that. This is that. Right?
I
You
mean,
can. It's still vague.
here's a series of 3 images, okay, where you could see it as it's being built over a couple of years, and then you can literally see the people going between the camp and the factory. It's not letting me do more than once at a time. Give me 1 second while I do one. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so in the first one, we see the construction site in 2017. Then we see the camp being built in 2018. Then we see the factory being built across from it in 2019. And then in 2019, we see the people moving between the two. Red sea of them in their low red uniforms, going between the factory and the camp. What's vague about this? Like, what else would this be? I'm just curious.
Well, I mean, the thing is, I've seen this, and I've seen other people argue that these pics are out of context.
Do you? Okay,
And-
but can you explain
No, they're
what the
out of
context is?
Like, there's a possibility that this is not even in Xinjiang at all.
Okay, you're saying there's a possibility, but you're being a little wishy-washy and
Yes,
vague yourself
yes,
in your answer.
Yes, I'm being vague myself in my answers because I can't pull up an article like immediately right now. I have to go back into research because I've seen many videos and many people talking about this discussion.
Hundreds of YouTube videos, huh? Do you understand how disheartening it is when, you cite YouTube videos over and over, and I link you like academic sources, like journalists, people whose profession is researching things, whether you think they're in Western media, they're all liars or not, right? And statistics, documents, budget documents, and you say I watched some YouTube videos that said it was all a lie. To me, from my Western Anglo brain, okay.
I already told you, satellite images, it's still not concrete evidence. Video protests, it's still not concrete evidence.
I never linked video protests. I don't know why I would link that as evidence of anything.
Concrete evidence of what's happening is interviewing Uyghurs in Xinjiang of what's happening.
Why are you pointing to
so many videos? Like this.
Okay.
Right?
I've seen stuff like this. I saw the guy that the other guy in the YouTube comments put where the girl is like getting a pedicure or whatever in her little suite. I've seen those. My curiosity is for your specific argument, the one that you're making. Why are you citing interviews with Uyghurs who aren't in the centers as opposed to Uyghurs who got out of the centers and said that bad stuff was happening there? Why do you hold the former over the latter?
Well, I mean, the Uyghurs that got out of the centers and claimed that they got raped and killed and all that,
they wouldn't claim they got killed because they're alive, right?
And no, they seen. Oh, you're right. They got raped and they seen people get killed. There you go.
Okay.
And China's saying that what she's saying is false. And there are no information of that person being sterilized.
There is information of them being sterilized. There are hospital records have been leaked. There's, government documents.
Yeah, but that's Western propagandas. That's Western propaganda.
How are leaked government documents and hospital records Western propaganda? Can you explain that to me?
Because you can just say, oh, it's leaked documents. You can just straight up lie and say, oh, leaked documents.
You don't think it's hard to lie about something when every other media outlet around you would have an incentive to take you down and expose you for making up such blatant misinformation?
Well, you can say, oh, this is propaganda, and then the other side is also propaganda. But who am I going to believe in? I believe in whoever makes more sense, whoever provides more detailed information on what's going on. You see the screenshot I sent you?
I provide you a lot of detailed information about what's going on, and your response has been YouTube videos. That's not detailed responses. That's a YouTube video. That's commentary.
YouTube videos, and
commentary isn't evidence of anything. I have a guy who I watch all the time, and I would never, for one of my conversations, just link something a video he made on the topic to prove my point.
Well, it depends on the YouTube video, right? Some YouTube videos have really weak concrete evidence, right? It would make the articles stronger. There's other YouTube videos where the evidence is concrete and it is convincing.
The only reason go ahead.
No, I'll tell you this. The main reason why I believe that Uyghurs are living a safer and healthier life, the reason why I believe in that is because I've seen videos of Uyghurs talking about what's happening in Xinjiang, talking about, oh, is the life better? Is everything safer? And they say everything about Western media is a lie. Mike Pompeo is a lie, right?
I hate Mike Pompeo. I don't know why we're arguing about Mike Pompeo, but go ahead.
So you tell me that Uyghur is a liar? That Uyghur, and you know what people say? Oh, that Uyghur is being paid by the CCP. Oh, well,
he's not being paid. He's being paid in that he doesn't get to die that night. That's what he's getting paid in, right?
No.
Or he has to get shipped off to the camp himself.
No, the Uyghur is saying that Chinese people help the Chinese Muslims, and Xinjiang in China should be Xinjiang is always a part of China, but China helped Xinjiang become a safer and healthier life, and there's no more terrorist attacks.
Do you deny that the Chinese government has a habit of crushing dissent in media, controlling the media, and putting out very prepared, very sterilized information out to the public and basically cracking down with law enforcement on dissenters? Do you agree that is something that has happened, or do you deny that?
I really don't know.
Okay, so I believe that is what happens, which is why I believe that any Uyghurs who said that nothing was going wrong were probably afraid that they were going to be on the wrath of the government if they said anything.
No, that's not true, because Chinese people know everything about the situation in Xinjiang. Chinese people that live in China know everything about what's happening in Xinjiang. And in Chinese social media like Weibo, all the Chinese people believe that Western media information is fabricated, and it is lies, and it is bullshit. So who am I going to believe in?
So I believe that Western
people or Chinese people that support Chinese Muslims.
Why would you make it, do I believe Western over Chinese? That doesn't matter whether or not one side is Western, one side is Chinese. Right, what matters is what information is accurate.
Chinese people are supporting China's policies. Wouldn't that make Chinese people evil too?
No, because I would say that the information that they're being given is propaganda from the state to convince them that nothing bad is happening. That's why I referred to China being authoritarian a couple minutes ago. That's why I said that they're probably crushing dissent and that they probably make sure that the only information that gets put out is the stuff that makes them look good.
Okay, but right? I've seen the evidence. I've seen what Uyghurs saying that there's nothing wrong and that their life is better and they have jobs and they make money now, right? So that means they're defying Western propagandas. They're defying what Western media is saying. So who's the liar?
So you use the
There's
term.
only one liar.
Okay, so I'm just gonna point this out to you. You use the term Western media in almost every single sentence that you say. It makes it very clear that your rationale for holding the position you hold isn't based on the weight of the evidence on one side or the other. It's because somehow, some way, you got this idea in your head that if it comes from Western media, it must be a lie. And, that has just infected your thinking to the point where it doesn't matter what Western media says or how much evidence they have to back them up. You're just going to call it all lies anyway and back the opposition because Western media bad.
I just lost trust in Western media. Everything they told me about for the past 20 years is just an over exaggeration. That's why I just can't trust Western media anymore.
That's interesting to me because I'm pretty sure if I were to look it up, and I did look it up briefly, Abu Ghraib, the instance of in 2000, came out in 2004, I think, of the United States military personnel torturing Muslims that you referred to multiple times. Western media reported on its own government doing that, and there is reporting of it coming out. So you pretend to act, you try to act like the United States pretends like it's never done anything bad in the past, but Western media has copped the sins of its own government. So I don't know why you would pretend that Western media has lied to you about everything. The example you brought up, they've talked about.
So they don't have a choice.
What? They don't have a choice? What?
Because it got leaked
by Western media. Western media leaked on its own governments.
Western media didn't leak it.
Who leaked it?
I'm pretty sure the people leaked it, and then Western media.
Who's the people? What people?
So they have to,
the people like the journalists, or who? Which people?
It's probably those criminals, like the Anglo criminals that share photos.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
In their personal space, and then it eventually got leaked.
In their personal space? Okay. Whatever you're trying to say, it's missing me completely. Can you tell me who you think
All right,
leaked?
let's go back to Uyghurs.
I know you want to go back because you realize that this is a bad point for you. So Western journalists leaked that about their own government, and that goes against your whole narrative about Western media bad.
It has nothing to do with Uyghurs. It has nothing to do with if Uyghurs getting raped or killed.
I'm just pointing out that your entire argument that it's all bullshit is basically that it was reported by Western media.
I talked about Abu Ghraib torture pictures because that's concrete evidence of Muslims getting raped and killed. And
we understand. I accept that evidence.
Happening. That's why.
So you think China is completely incapable of doing something like this, right?
No. Like I said, right? Oh, Chinese propaganda. Oh, Western propaganda. Blah blah blah. This, blah blah blah. That. They counteract each other. They disagree with each other. But who am I gonna believe in?
You know what the difference is between Western propaganda and Chinese propaganda? Do you want to know the difference?
Whoever makes more sense to me, I'll believe it.
That's a nonsense statement. It means nothing. You're using it because your thought process is based on nothing. So let me ask you again. Do you know what the difference is between Western media and Chinese propaganda?
You did zero research on extremism, terrorism in Xinjiang.
Because that was not the topic we were discussing today.
That's the biggest problem. That's the main
We're not discussing the why. We are discussing the what. If you didn't understand that going into the conversation, it was your inability to read anything I was writing you. So that's not on me. Maybe next time you need a caretaker to read you the topic of the conversation before it starts. But the topic of our conversation wasn't whether or not Uyghurs.
You did your research on extremism.
Correct, because that was not the topic.
You know that info would make China's reasons look good, and you're anti-China. Like,
if that was my reason, why did I give you that? Why did I give you that to start a conversation if I wanted to argue about it? I literally said I believe you. So clearly that wasn't my reason for not researching it. My reason for not researching it was that I was giving you that point and allowing you that without looking into it and just assuming that what you were telling me was true because it didn't matter to my argument and I didn't give a shit. Do you understand that now?
Well, I mean, you don't give a shit about what's happening, like extremism in Xinjiang.
No,
That's
I
the
don't
main
care
reason
whether
why
or not there was
entire-
extremism in
That's the
Xinjiang,
main
because that has
reason why
nothing to
that's
do with the
happening.
topic of this conversation. The topic of this conversation, if you need me to read it to you one more time, was whether or not the policy that China is using to react to that extremism is a human rights violation or not. I don't care about the cause that led up to the
it's not a
policy.
human
I care
rights
about the
violation
policy
because
itself, and that was what we were
not a
arguing
human
today.
right
You
violation
keep
because
going back to this
Chinese-
other topic
because
that
Chinese
we
people
weren't
made
here
Chinese
to
Muslims
discuss.
live a
Don't
better
keep
and
talking
safer
over me.
life.
I'm gonna keep plowing
healthier
through you,
and
okay?
safer life.
The
That's
reason
why.
the reason why you keep going back to this is because you know that you're losing the argument about whether or not there's a human rights abuse happening, so you're making excuses as to why it's happening.
Well,
I don't
think
care
I'm losing the
about why
argument
it's
because
happening.
we're getting
I care about
nowhere.
if it's happening, and that was what we agreed to debate. Unlike you, I like to prepare for my conversations, and unlike you,
Oh,
that
yeah,
requires a little
but
bit more work than looking up
it's just-
fucking YouTube videos, and that's why it takes a long time. So I don't have the
Well, same
time to look
thing,
up stuff
because
that's
you can just-
unrelated
you
to
can
the
just-
topic
you
that
can
we're
just-
discussing. Do you
You can just-
understand that?
You can just send me articles, and I won't believe that. I can send you YouTube videos, and you won't believe that. So the
I think it's clear to anyone who's ever going to watch this that the hilarious difference between the guy who thinks sending a YouTube video is the same as sending an article. I mean, I honestly, God, I think you need a little bit more practice doing this, because I think if you had thought about that for 2 seconds, you would realize that would probably make you not look very credible. But that's just me. You don't have to take my word for it. I'm a Western boy. Clearly, everything I say is a lie.
Because
But
I don't really care if I'm credible or not.
I understand you
I
don't
just-
care.
I just
That's
believe-
why you have
I
such a
just- I
crap
just believe-
position, because you don't
No,
care about
I
what's
just-
true and what isn't.
No, I just believe what my heart tells me and what makes more sense.
You know, that
know?
does make a lot of sense if that's what you do, and that's probably why you arrived at
Yes,
such a
and yeah,
ridiculous
and that's why-
conclusion.
No,
That tends to happen when you just follow your gut and think you
okay,
know everything.
okay.
It seems a little arrogant, but you know, you do you.
okay, I don't think I know everything, but it's just my
Then
opinion.
why would you follow
And,
your
know,
gut instead of looking into it?
because the information that I've seen makes more sense. to me.
Okay, so that has nothing to do with following your gut. Now you say that you're looking at information. Do you understand that you're giving me two different answers here?
No. Here's the thing. What I believe in is I believe that Chinese people made Chinese Muslims live a safer and healthier life because of the things I've seen, right? Articles, videos, vlogs in Xinjiang, people visiting there and speaking with the Uyghurs of what's happening to them, and they say that they're living a safer and healthier life, right? And I believe that because the information they're giving me makes more sense, and that Western propaganda, their info is over exaggerated. It's way too inconsistent, and there's way too many out of context of what's happening.
What's inconsistent amongst what Western media reports? I'm not asking you
Like,
whether or not it's
no, okay,
inconsistent
well,
with what
what's
China
inconsistent?
says. Excuse
No,
me.
what-
Wait. But before,
Showing
let me
pictures-
finish my question
showing
before you
pictures
start
of-
answering it.
of Uyghurs,
Let me finish my
crying
question.
this.
Show me
But
these
it's not
pictures.
true.
I want to see these pictures. Show me these pictures right now and tell me where you got them. And if it's not from like a credible media source, I'm not going to care. But show it. Go ahead, show me. Because if you're going to send me these pictures, and they're not going to be from a media source. They're going to be from social media. Someone posted some dumb shit, okay? So what I'm not asking you, what has Western media said that has been inconsistent with the stuff that China has put out? You claim that Western media has been inconsistent with its own reporting. Can you point that out for me?
Well, yes. They show pictures of an Asian kid crying and saying that this is a Uyghur, but
Who
no,
showed that
it's not
picture?
Uyghur.
Who? What
It's,
outlet?
It turns out to be a Thai boy, even though he's not a Chinese Muslim.
What outlet said this or posted this? Are you looking for it or? Okay. Okay, there's another YouTube video. So again, what outlet posted the photo that you were referring to?
Well, I'm not sure.
Okay, so anyway, I asked
can't,
you
find it.
a little bit ago. I asked you the question: do you know what the difference between Western media, or excuse me, Western propaganda, and Chinese propaganda is? Do you know what the difference is?
I don't know the difference, but in my opinion, I think China China does they lean towards more censorship.
Okay.
In Western propaganda, they lean towards more of a over exaggeration of what's happening.
Okay.
That's my opinion, not facts. My opinion.
Sure. So
China
we're
leads to censorship, and
okay.
there'll be some cases where something bad happens to China, and China, they want to censor things, right? It's not ideal. They're not perfect, but I think in my opinion it's better. It's a lot better than Western media over exaggerating a topic and sometimes straight out lies.
So we're willing to concede at least that China does censor some information that it feels is inconvenient to its own narrative. The government does, right?
Yes.
Okay. Do we think that that might have an impact on the opinion and the attitude of Chinese people towards this issue, or Uyghurs who aren't in the camps towards this issue, if they had information that wasn't censored?
Well, I don't know. I really don't know.
I feel like it might.
It's censored.
I feel like
because there's some censorship where it positively impacts people or the citizens.
wait, what is censorship that positively impacts the people?
There are some censorships that can positively impact people.
Can you give me an example of that?
Like let's say illegal porn. Illegal porn.
Okay. I
Right.
have a feeling that's not related to what we were talking about with China, though,
Illegal
right?
porn or
Of course.
any censorship that is people that are being demonized.
When you say people that are being demonized, what do you mean?
Oh, like Chinese people being demonized.
In what way?
Like China started the coronavirus. They have a Wuhan lab and they're infecting the world, and that Chinese people are evil and disgusting. Right? They're gonna censor that. They're gonna tell the people don't think that way.
Well,
Be
they're not going
proud
to tell
of
the people
the
not to think that way. They're going to shut down that information, right? That's what censorship means.
Chinese.
Of course. So I agree that conspiracy theory was incorrect and that China didn't intentionally start it. That's bullshit. That was started by Trump, who is our former president. He was an asshole. But so when you said the Chinese media sometimes censor things that is inconvenient to its own narrative, or you gave me that a little bit, do you think that might have played a role in the information that it gives out about Xinjiang and the detention centers and the Uyghurs?
I don't believe in that particular topic because of the information that I've seen, and that China's info convinced me that Uyghurs are living a safer and healthier life thanks to the Chinese people.
So a minute ago, you could see that China will sometimes censor information more to preserve its own image and preserve its own dignity, and to stop bad things that might make it look bad getting into the public eye. And now you're turning around, you're telling me that you believe this isn't happening because the information that China puts out, which you agree can be censored a lot of the time to make it look better, is saying that they didn't do it. Do you think that this is contradictory? Because I think you're contradicting yourself.
No, it's not contradictory because I don't think every single topic of what China's saying is considered correct, right?
How do you decide what's censored and what's not?
But just this particular topic. Just this particular topic about Xinjiang, I don't think there's anything being censored because of the videos I've seen.
How have you determined that? How do you determine when the Chinese government's media is lying to you and when it's not? What is the thing that makes you decide that now they're lying and now they're not? Because you agreed that they will censor.
Because I saw Uyghurs saying that their lives are better now and safer, and then they make more money because they have jobs. And the reason why they have jobs is because they learn skills.
Have you ever heard the expression, the plural of anecdote is not data? Have you ever heard that?
No, because I don't really give a shit about that. And I don't really care about how people try to talk smart. I just want to get to the point.
You can call it talking smart if you want. An anecdote, it means like a personal story. This is the point.
That's the story. And it convinced me.
Okay.
It convinced me.
So the
Because
reason
that's
why
not the only story. There's multiple stories.
the reason why we say that a collection of personal stories is not data is because if you were to go out, depending on your intentions, you
I
could
think
collect.
it's data, in my opinion.
If I was to finish, if you go out, you could collect a number of personal stories that could prove literally anything in the world. You could prove any bullshit claim based on a collection of personal stories. You could go and find probably Jewish people who said the Nazis were nice to them. You could probably find stories of Ku Klux Klan or of black people who said the KKK was nice to them. That doesn't mean that the KKK weren't atrocious to black people, and that doesn't mean the Nazis weren't atrocious to Jewish people and tried to genocide them and all that. Just because you can find a collection of personal stories, does that mean that you've disproved an argument?
Of course, I 100% agree with you.
Okay.
That's why at the very end of the argument, I knew that our convos at the very end of our argument, right? Everything that I said, it is just my opinion, not facts. The things that I've seen about Xinjiang, I believe that China is helping Uyghurs. And it's just my opinion. It is not facts.
Okay, and in my conversation, I have kept out all of my personal opinions about whether or not I personally like the Chinese government or whether I like the US government aside, and I have looked at the reporting, I have looked at the documents, I have looked at the satellite images, and I have used the facts to make my argument, not my personal feelings about the credibility of the Chinese media or the credibility of the Western media. And that is why I believe the difference is.
Yeah, okay. And then why do you believe Uyghurs are getting sterilized? Why do you believe that ethnic minorities in Xinjiang are being mistreated by Chinese people?
Because
why do you believe that?
Because that is what the statistics and the data and the overall collection of statistics
but why?
and documents.
But why? But why?
Because that is the way that I determine what is true or not. I look at documents and stats.
What is the purpose? What is the purpose for Chinese people to do that to their own people?
The reason, there could be a number of motivations. One motivation is that they want to make sure that Han Chinese remain the majority, so they want to make sure that the minorities reproduce at a lower birth rate. They might as well actually fear some extremism from the Muslim minority, so they might be doing this intentionally to curb the number of Uyghurs that are there because they fear extremism. Those are just two motivations off the top of my head that might explain why they're doing this.
Oh, I see. Because like China, they have this poverty alleviation program, and according to China, Uyghurs are the number one priority for the poverty alleviation program. And in order to make money, you need to learn skills. Once you learn skills, you get a job. Once you get a job, you make money. Once you make money, your life becomes better, safer, healthier, and they counteract terrorism, of extremism. That's why I believe that Xinjiang is now a more desirable place, is healthier and safer. And I think Xinjiang is also a really important region where the Belt and Road Initiative is being involved. And I think the Belt and Road Initiative is what makes China's economy become stronger, right? But Western media or America, they want to destabilize Xinjiang. They want Xinjiang to be an extremist, violent country where people get bombed, knifed, and killed.
District, right? Not separate from your country.
Western media does not want Uyghurs to live a safe life. They don't give a shit about Uyghurs because Uyghurs have zero impact in the Western society, right? So why care about them, right? And the only country that can control Xinjiang, control the life of the Uyghurs is China. That's their responsibility. And I think they did a really great job handling the situation in Xinjiang. And since 2017, there has been 0 terrorist attacks in Xinjiang. 0.
Okay, so as I was going to say a minute ago, well, let me get my thought. Oh, I have actually read about those poverty programs, and that, you might argue, might be another motivation for them to do these terrible things, is because they want to force all these people who are impoverished to work in their factories and produce for them, because they might not be doing that currently because they're in such an impoverished area. That's another motivation why they might do terrible things like force them into forced labor camps at detention centers. So that would be another possible motivation that they would do that. and that's actually the reporting says from all the outsider sources outside of China, is that these people in these poor areas under the umbrella, under the idea of attacking the problem of poverty, they're just forcing these people to work in not great conditions against their will. That's what they are saying.
Yeah, like that's like the outer sources. Okay, I see what you're trying to say, but China's info, they're saying that it's not forced work or forced labor. It's voluntary labor. If you want to work on this to make money, go for it. Do it. We're not forcing you. We're not making Uyghurs' lives more miserable, right? And how do Chinese people react to that? They're seeing the entire situation, and they're supporting the Uyghurs. Chinese social media, right? Their TikTok version, Douyin, shows that there's a bunch of Chinese people in the comments that tell how lovely Uyghurs are and that they support the Uyghurs.
I'm sorry. You're talking about comments. Can you refer to like polls or something? Is there polling on this? Why are you referring to comments on like what is it? Another video?
No, Chinese social media. The Chinese people that are using social media.
That's bad, right? Citing social media is bad. Do you have poll data? It's like citing YouTube again. It's social media. Do you have polls on this or something?
I'm just hearing from the people what they think about Xinjiang, and I just truly believe that Chinese people care about Uyghurs more than anybody else, because Uyghurs are related to Chinese people, and that they should be together, and that they should be united. But then Western media is making it seem like they want like separatism. They want.
No, they're not. Wait, why are they saying they want separate? When are they saying they want Xinjiang to be separate? Where are they saying that?
Well, because right? I'm pretty sure we both seen pictures saying that Xinjiang is East Turkestan and it never belonged to China, and that they show people with like the blue face. The blue face mask, and the East Turkestan flag. That's separatism.
Hold on.
You can literally type in Uyghurs on Google, click on images, and you'll know what I mean.
Well, I believe you about the mask. Continue.
Yes. This is an example of separatism.
It came under Chinese rule in the 18th century. It used to be East Turkestan like hundreds of years ago. Who's arguing that it should be separate again?
Well, you can say the same thing about which land belonged to the America, right? The natives. Right, but
yeah, I say that's why I would never. That's why I would never refer to this. Who's saying that Xinjiang should be separated from China? The U.S. isn't saying that. Who's saying that?
Oh, Western media.
Who's what? No. Yeah. Give me a source that says that.
They're funded.
Who's funded? You're not giving me an answer. Who is saying
genocide? What we know about the Uyghurs, and then they show us a picture.
Okay, hold on. I understand.
They want. No, it's right there.
So what outlet posted that picture
right now?
What outlet?
It's literally on the front page of Google.
I'm asking you so I can read it.
I'll give you a screenshot so that you don't think I'm a liar.
I don't think you're a liar. I'm asking you for the outlet. I wouldn't ask you for it if I would ask you for it if I thought you were lying, but I'm assuming that you have it for me. USA Today. U.S. says China's committing genocide. Have you read this article?
They're wearing the blue mask and saying that it's East Turkestan and all this. That is a form of separatism. The U.S. definitely supports that. U.S. is not going to say, the Uyghurs belong to China. No, because it doesn't fit their narrative.
Why would hold on. What incentive? Wait. You're rattling off like a million different things. So I gotta pin you down on this. Why would the U.S. advocate for East Turkestan against its own trading partner? That doesn't make any sense. Can you explain that thought process to me?
No, I agree with you. It doesn't make any sense. That's what I'm wondering.
No.
China and America, they're such good trading partners. But why demonize China and everything and all this? And
what I'm telling you is that they're not advocating for Xinjiang to go against East Turkestan, and literally no one is saying that. What's happening is you have a China.
Well,
what am I talking about?
No one's saying that. People on the internet are saying that.
Uyghur children are wearing masks that basically illustrate the fact that they are from East Turkestan, in the past, from their heritage, and they're voicing dissent with the Chinese government. That's what the purpose of the mask is. Just the USA Today posting a picture of that child with that mask doesn't mean that all United States media is advocating for Xinjiang to go back to East Turkestan. No one's saying that. Is that even a country anymore, or is it just I don't even know.
It's not a country because there's no government in East Turkestan. The whole thing about East Turkestan is fucking made up.
Okay, so then what you're telling me is that your whole thing was bullshit. No one's saying that.
There's terrorist attacks. There's extremism in Xinjiang, right?
Okay, now we're repeating this stuff about terrorism again. That's not related. Go ahead.
Hear me this. No. Who's gonna stop these terrorism? No country has the power to stop these terrorist attacks. Only one country. That is China. You know why? Because Xinjiang belongs to China.
Okay, we moved off the East Turkestan thing really fast.
Responsible to stop terrorism in Xinjiang. China's the only country.
Okay.
Stop terrorism in Xinjiang. The only country. East Turkestan does not exist.
We moved off of the East Turkestan thing really fast and back onto the extremism and violence. So I want to bring it back to the East Turkestan thing. Do you understand that the East Turkestan mask thing comes from the Uyghur children themselves and not from the U.S. or not from USA Today? Do you understand that?
Well, I don't even think it comes from the Uyghur children itself, because I think that information is fabricated. That would be the same source. That would be the same source of.
So no Uyghurs refer to their past heritage as coming from East Turkestan.
Video protest. That'd be the same source of video protest.
Okay, I'm gonna ask the question again. So no Uyghurs ever talk about the fact that their past heritage a couple hundred years ago was that they used to be from East Turkestan. No Uyghurs ever talk about that. Then why are they wearing the mask? They're literally wearing the mask to illustrate that point. So they do say that. This is a picture of a Uyghur child.
Well, no. Well, I don't think they do say that, because...
Then why are they wearing the mask?
Well, because...
What is that? USA Today journalist wearing the mask covering as a Uyghur child? Is that what you're saying? I don't understand.
No, because they're most likely funded by Falun Gong. And Falun Gong works for the CIA. And Falun Gong makes stories about, these people are Uyghur and they hate China, right? Even though in reality, they're not even Uyghurs, because they're funded by the CIA. And they're a group called Falun Gong. And you know who supports Falun Gong? Or who dick rides Falun Gong? Adrian Zenz. Oh, what do you know? Haha. Good one, right?
So, I'm going to ask you again. If you're trying to tell me that Uyghurs never talk about the fact that they used to come from East Turkestan, why is this Uyghur child wearing the mask?
Well, I'm not 100% sure if that child's a Uyghur, because it could be funded by Falun Gong.
Okay, if it's funded by Falun Gong, how does that make that child not a Uyghur?
Because that child isn't a Uyghur. What are you talking about?
How do you know this? You're saying this without any basis or evidence. You're just saying they're not a Uyghur. This is like when Trump says, "Oh, all these people are paid opposition. They're not here for real." You're doing the same thing that my old ex-president did.
Yeah, I'm doing the same thing, right? But at the end of the day, it's just my opinion, and what I believe in makes sense. And why are Uyghur children being anti-Chinese when Chinese sources says that they are protecting the Uyghurs and making their life better?
Okay, so you're saying that the Uyghur children are anti-Chinese. So you're saying they are doing that.
I'm not saying. I was saying, why would they think that? Why are they
Wait, this is very interesting. You have talked about how there's a lot of extremism.
When Chinese people support the Uyghurs and the Uyghurs support China.
Okay, so I'm going to make my point now. Okay, so it's very interesting that you talked a lot about how there are Uyghurs who are extremists and can be violent, and that's why China decided to make changes in the first place. And now you're pretending that it's totally unbelievable that this Uyghur child might be wearing this mask from when they were from East Turkestan 200 years ago, and wearing a mask that shows dissent against China. So are there extremists among the Uyghurs who don't like China, or are there not? Because you can't have it both ways. You can't, in one breath, say there are extremists among the Uyghurs, and that's why China wanted to make changes to better everyone, and then turn around and say, oh, this Uyghur child totally doesn't hate China. This is just funded by Falun Gong, and this is totally fabricated. So, can you answer that contradiction?
I don't think it's a contradiction.
Are there Uyghurs who are unhappy with China or no?
No.
There are no Uyghurs who are unhappy with China. Then why do they carry out terrorist attacks in Xinjiang?
No, I would say a generalization. Yeah, that's what I think about. Why are there terrorist attacks in Xinjiang? And you know what? Some sources says that the terrorists are funded by the CIA.
So it has nothing to do with them being Muslim. It's all just CIA paying Muslims to commit terrorist attacks. Is that it? This is so ridiculous. Okay, so you actually don't believe they're terrorists because they're Muslim. All right, which is good, I guess. You're not assuming they're all terrorists because they're Muslim. They're all just paid by every single terrorist that ever committed an attack in Xinjiang is part of the CIA. So let me ask you this. If that's the case, then why did China's policy reduce all the terrorist attacks to zero like you claimed? Because that doesn't make any sense. The CIA didn't stop paying them, did they?
No, because there are zero attacks in Xinjiang since 2017 because of the vocational training centers.
Wait, how did the vocational training centers stop the CIA from paying Uyghurs to commit terrorist attacks?
Well, I mean, that started probably in the 1990s. That
didn't answer my question. So you just tried to say that all the Uyghur terrorism was because of the CIA, and you're saying that vocational centers stopped it all. That doesn't make any sense. You're just making this up.
There's certain branches.
Certain branches? What does that mean?
Because Uyghurs, there's some Uyghurs that are poor. They have no jobs.
Okay.
Right? They don't have any. They don't have any skills to do jobs. Right.
Okay.
And then China provides them jobs. Let them learn skills so they can make money and live a better life. And then there are other branches where.
So how did that stop the CIA from paying terrorists to continue making terrorist attacks in Xinjiang?
There's other branches where
either you bite the bullet on the CIA thing or you don't. I can't help you here. You hung yourself here.
The Chinese people.
You walked yourself in the circle.
Chinese people are re-educating the terrorists, right? Tell them to stop bombing, stop knifing, right? Learn some skills, right? Get a job.
So it had nothing to do with the CIA, and it was because of the training.
Be peaceful with the Chinese people, right? But in very rare cases, right? There's some people that you can't convince them to be a anti-terrorist
because the CIA is paying them too much, right? Am I right?
Well, I think that's true.
Okay, so wait. So then how did if they're being paid by the CIA, how did vocational training make them stop being terrorists?
Well, I mean, the vocational training centers are most likely the people that has no affiliations with terrorism. And
no affiliations with terrorism. That means nothing. Let me ask you again. So either what caused terrorism, the CIA or the training? Which one was it? Was it the CIA or was it the vocational training?
I think CIA caused terrorism.
Okay, so it had nothing to do with the vocational centers and the training and the jobs.
Vocational training centers are training Uyghurs to learn skills and to not be influenced under extremism. Because
so you're saying it was religious extremism now, so it had nothing to do with the CIA. Do you see how we're running back and forth? It's because you can't make up your own mind, because you're just saying stuff that comes to your mind and not thinking about whether it's true or not. You just randomly blame everything on the CIA, and then you try to pretend like, oh, well, actually, the vocational training stopped it. You never thought through your own argument, so you revealed that you were, being full of it.
CIA fucked up.
Okay, so you've basically just demonstrated to everyone that you will just throw out the word CIA whenever it conveniences you so that you can have a little scapegoat. And you will contradict yourself in order to do that. Because you said that the terrorism stopped after vocational training and jobs were provided to the people doing the terrorism. And that doesn't make sense if you're also going to claim at the same time that every single terrorist attack was because of the CIA. That doesn't make any sense because the vocational training wouldn't have stopped the CIA from continuing to fund terrorism in the area. So clearly it wasn't the CIA. You think it was because of the vocational training. So, okay, we've showcased you being full of it there.
Oh, the Chinese people did stop terrorism. They stopped extremism.
Okay.
There's no more bombings and knife attacks.
So
to the Chinese people.
So do you believe that religious extremism and extremism, anti-China extremism, was the reason that there was terrorism coming from Uyghurs in Xinjiang? Do you believe that?
Believe what? Can you say that again? Can you just simplify it? Because you're just trying to make yourself sound way too smart, bro.
Oh, trust me, I'll make it
to the point.
I'll make it as simple as I can for you. Okay?
Yeah, get to the point. Just get to the point. You don't need to extend your words.
Okay. I'm gonna say it simple and slow for you, so that there's no chance for you to miss my question. Do you believe that religious extremism and anti-China sentiment resulted in the terrorist attacks that were seen from Uyghurs in Xinjiang?
Yes.
Okay.
I believe that.
So if you believe there's anti-China sentiment among Uyghurs, why is it hard for you to believe that this might be a Uyghur child showing dissent against the Chinese government and wearing this mask without trying to say it was funded by Falun Gong? Why is that hard for you to accept?
No, it's hard for me to accept because from what the information I've seen, it contradicts of that information.
What information does it contradict?
Because the Uyghur wearing a child, right? That information sides with Western media. My information, China side, is saying that Uyghurs are living a better life, a safer life now, thanks to Chinese people.
Okay, so now you're saying there's no. Now you've gone back. You've contradicted yourself once again, and now you're saying that there is no anti-China sentiment amongst Uyghurs.
That's why I don't believe in it. And then people that says that
no, it's not about you not believing anything.
All that must be funded by Falun Gong.
Let me illustrate to you what just happened.
CIA.
Okay.
Falun Gong works for the CIA, and Adrian Zenz, he fucks with Falun Gong.
So you've demonstrated that you're full of shit again.
Dude, everything makes sense now.
You've demonstrated that you're full of shit again, because in one breath you tell me there is anti-China sentiment among Uyghurs, and in the next breath you tell me there is no anti-China sentiment against Uyghurs. And that in those 20 seconds you talked out of both sides of your mouth. You gave me two completely, exclusively different answers. Oh, yes, there is anti-China sentiment. No, there is no anti-China sentiment. So you're just making this up. You're just saying stuff that comes to your head that you've seen in YouTube videos. You haven't thought any of this through.
No, because extremism or like the fucking radicals and all that, they're making the Uyghurs and the Chinese people divided, right?
So they are divided.
Yeah.
So they might have worn this mask without being funded by Falun Gong. This doesn't even destroy your argument. You should just own this. This is easy. You just want to be conspiratorial. You just want to do that. You don't
division. But Chinese people, they don't want division. They want to be united. Chinese people love Chinese Muslims. They want to be united.
Are there some Uyghurs who do not like China?
Let's make the whole country stronger. Let's make the whole country economically more powerful.
Are there some Uyghurs who don't like China?
Western. Yeah, of course.
Then why do you not believe this child is wearing the mask? Might that not be one of these Uyghurs?
No, because the child might not even be a Uyghur. And it is funded.
Why do you believe that if you already admitted that there is anti-China sentiment among the Uyghurs? It sounds like it's pretty believable that this would be a Uyghur child who doesn't like China.
Well, because of influence under extremism. And the reason why
that isn't an answer to anything I just asked you.
No, the reason I don't believe that is because that picture of a child wearing a mask, right? When was that picture taken?
I can look for it. Hold on.
If that picture was taken in like 2018, it would make no fucking sense. It would make no fucking sense at all.
What year would that make sense?
No, because in 2018, right? The Uyghurs, they are already living a safer and healthier life. In 2018, the Uyghurs are already living a safer and healthier life thanks to the Chinese people. And if that picture is taken in 2018, it would make no sense because it would defy China's info. That's why it's hard for me to believe that.
I think we've demonstrated that we're a little full of it on this point, and I think I've demonstrated that fully. Okay, I want to go back to a question I tried to ask a while ago. I'm going to give you the answer now because you never gave me an answer. So I asked you a while ago what the difference was between Western media, Western propaganda, quote unquote, and China East propaganda. The answer to what's different is that Western propaganda is the term you use to smear together multiple different countries. I think you named like 5. Whereas Chinese propaganda is propaganda that comes from one country. So you have multiple countries versus one country. Then you have Western propaganda, and from this conversation, it's clear that Western propaganda is stuff like leaked documents and statistics, and sterilization and interviews. And Chinese propaganda is a bunch of YouTube videos, apparently, and their own statistics saying that they did no wrong.
No, and Chinese social media and the Chinese people talking about the whole situation. Right?
Yeah. And social media is propaganda. I agree with you.
There's people that think they know China more than Chinese people itself, and I think that's so arrogant and fucked up.
Okay,
it's
so
ridiculous.
As I was saying, so Western propaganda is the term you use to besmirch the findings of multiple different countries who are on the outside of this, and Chinese propaganda is from an authoritarian state that you admitted censors its own information to make itself look better, and controls social media, the media outlets, and the information that is available to the citizens. So Western media is not censored in this way by the governments of the United States or China or any of the European countries you mentioned. And so Chinese propaganda is inherently uncredible. Western media, you calling it propaganda, you're calling it that because it's inconvenient to the argument that you're making.
No, I just think that Western propaganda is just an extreme over exaggeration of what they're trying to say, and it spins around like.
What's exaggerated?
Like here's an example. Oh, Chinese people, they did a lockdown in February 2020, a full lockdown, super strict laws. You know what Western media says? Oh, they're taking draconian measures. Oh, it's a violation of human rights. It's crimes against humanity. Oh, I feel so bad for the Chinese people being forced lockdown. They have no freedom, right? You see how they try to demonize China, right?
So, what were the draconian measures that Western media referred to?
China doing a lockdown in February 2020.
So nothing else related to that. Just the fact that they were locking down. That's very funny because the United States, some parts of it did have lockdowns. Not enough of it, to be honest with you. But that wasn't what they were complaining to you.
There's anti-maskers.
I understand that.
Fucking retarded people.
I understand that there are a lot of people in my country are really fucking stupid. I understand that. I'm saying some areas were locking down. That wasn't the reason why they were complaining about China. So let's try this again. What draconian measures? Which draconian measures were?
Is the draconian measures of what USA is trying to say about China is they're doing a full lockdown. You can't go outside, and you have to wear a mask 100% of the time, right? That's their headline. Draconian measures. Oh, they do fucked up shit, violation of human rights. You know how the Chinese people, when they do lockdowns, the Chinese people, they understand they're not gonna have fun. It's not gonna be fun, right? But the main reason of a lockdown is for China's future to be prosperous. They wanna eradicate the virus, completely destroy the virus. You have to do lockdowns. There has to be compromises. There has to be sacrifices. That's what the Chinese people envision, and they listen and obey to their government. And how did that turn out? It turned out incredibly successful. And you know what Western media said? Oh no, Chinese people, they do draconian lockdowns. They said that while at the same time, they say that 5 million Chinese people died from the virus, and that the numbers of the coronavirus is made up and fake. So what's the point in a lockdown then?
Wait, so do you not believe that?
How can 5 million Chinese people die when they do the most extreme measures of a lockdown and they obey their government?
Probably because they didn't do it soon enough, because they initially tried to deny it, and probably because it's where the pandemic started. So are you telling me that millions of Chinese people didn't die there?
100%. And I don't think the pandemic.
Okay, so you called the anti-mask. Wait! I gotta call you out of this. Wait! You called the anti-maskers. You called
bullshit.
You called the anti-maskers. You called the anti-maskers in my country retarded, and I agree with you. They are retarded, but you're doing the same bullshit that they do. You're literally just like them. You're denying that people were dying from the virus. What the hell? when
I'm
China,
denying people are dying from the virus. I'm denying that there's no such thing as 5 million Chinese people that got killed from the virus.
so you don't believe that
Of
they were
course people
slow to
died from the
respond to
virus.
the outbreak?
Of course people died. Of course people died, but not 5 million Chinese people.
Did the Chinese government initially
5 million
deny
Chinese people
that the spread was
in
happening?
March 2020. I don't believe that. I don't believe that 2 months in the coronavirus, 5 million people already died in China. No.
Do you
Right.
believe that in the beginning, China started by denying that the problem was happening? Did that happen or did that not happen?
Well, I don't know for sure because when the virus came, right?
Because that's why millions of people died.
No. When the virus came, Chinese people, they're still unsure of what's going on. If there's only one person in the world that is infected from the coronavirus, people would not believe that the coronavirus exists. People are like, oh, it's just a flu. It's fake, right? But then if people are having the same symptoms of the coronavirus, then it'll become more believable that there's a new virus that spawned on Earth exists now, right? Right? Let's say, 20 Chinese people, they have the coronavirus. They're not gonna immediately tell the whole world that there's a new virus. They're still unsure of what's going on. And I've seen people in their experiences on like Quora and YouTube comments. People already experienced coronavirus symptoms on September 2019.
Why do you give a
They
fuck
already
about
experienced that.
YouTube comments? You can't verify
In
the
America.
validity of any of
No.
that
In
information.
America. Yeah.
Do you? How long have you been on the
Of course I
internet?
believe you. No, I
How
believe
long
you.
have you been on the internet? You don't think people lie in YouTube comments? Why are you citing this as a source at all?
But then when they're making comments, right? What makes me believe in them is that they're so detailed in their comments of what's going on.
You don't think
They're
that
so
people can
detailed,
lie
and
in
there's
detail
zero
in a
arrogance.
YouTube comment? How long have you
No,
been on the
yeah,
internet,
detailed
dog?
stuff and zero arrogance. Zero arrogance.
You're arrogant. That's the You're taking YouTube comments and you're saying they're detailed, so you believe them. What are you
Yes,
talking about?
Because it convinces me. It convinces me.
Of course, I believe that it convinces you. I can't imagine that thought process of being convinced by a YouTube comment, but that's just me. Anyway,
All I gotta say is I still don't know where the origins of the virus came from. It's still yet to be discovered.
I agree. It's still yet to be discovered. We still don't know.
But yeah, exactly. Like, so you can't be like 100% for sure. Oh, it came from Wuhan. It came from this, that. And then there's some people says no, it came from America. Fort Detrick Lab. Oh, blah blah blah. Right. It's still yet to be discovered.
Are you trying to say that you believe it came from the West?
No, I said it's still yet to be discovered.
All right. I feel like you did the thing that extremists do, where they they put something out as a suggestion. I'm just saying. I was wondering why you were throwing that out there. I felt like you were trying to slide that my way, like a crypto whatever. Trying to slide me the JQ. Okay.
Thanks to Chinese people.
Sure you do. Okay. So,
I'm for real.
So,
Because I agree with the Chinese people on their social media.
Of course you do. Who wouldn't agree with people on social media? They're always so rational there. Anyway, as I was saying, social media, as we all know, is very good for the human brain. So people are sent to the fields as part of a labor transfer program, BBC reports. And Adrian Zen's the guy you don't like because of Falun Gong. The satellite images that you don't believe. Anything else I have for you here? Let's talk about Falun Gong. So, you talked about the organ harvesting in Falun Gong as if it was made up. Can you talk to me more about that?
Yeah, to me, I think it's just made up because people said there's no such technology of organs being preserved because.
Wait, I'm sorry.
In order for organs to be preserved healthily, like really healthy, like a healthy organ don't last outside for like 10 hours or something.
So are all organ donors fake to you?
No, I mean Falun Gong says that Chinese people are preserving organs and that the organs are in a fucking freezer for like months. And I don't think organs can be that healthy for months in a fucking refrigerator. I think Falun Gong is bullshit, bro.
I'm looking up how the organ stuff works. Depending on the organ, ranges from a few hours to a day and a half. Depends on the organ, it seems. I didn't see anything about him claiming that organs were there for months. I can't speak to that. What I can speak to is the fact that the Chinese government literally admitted that it engaged in systemic organ harvesting from death row prisoners that they were executing. Do you disagree that the Chinese government admitted to it?
That's from Western media.
It's not from Western media. It's from the Chinese government themselves saying that they engaged in that practice. What's the guy's name? Wang Jifu, who was... Oh, hold on. Let me find... Dr. Wang, who was in a position in the Chinese government. I'm trying to find the name of his position, but it's escaping my notes. I would have to go look at it again. He said, yeah, we did that, but we'll stop by this date. By January 1st, 2015. This has nothing to do with Western media. Straight from the horse's mouth. So, the Chinese government admitted to doing it and said they were stopping. I don't know why you chose to argue that they were actually never doing it in the first place. It's very strange when China literally admitted to doing it.
I don't think they admitted.
Wang...
I don't think they admitted though.
I mean, you're just talking out your ass right now because you have no idea.
I'm not, because Chinese sources saying that they didn't do it. So how am I talking out of my ass?
What Chinese source? Is there a source more credible than...
Oh, sorry. So you're saying Chinese sources are saying that they're admitting that they're doing organ harvesting. How come when I look at a Chinese source, they're not admitting it?
It's not a Chinese source. It's a member of the government.
Who's lying?
You haven't demonstrated who said this.
A member of the government.
I gave you a member of the government. Who said that they didn't do it?
Doesn't listen to...
What YouTube video did you watch that told you they weren't doing it? I want you to link me the YouTube video, dog.
No, it's an article.
Written by who?
By the Chinese people.
Which outlet in China? What Chinese people? So the government says, hey, we did this fucked up thing. And then some fucking media outlet in China says they didn't do this thing. And so you go, oh, they must have not have done this thing. Does this make any fucking sense to you? Because it doesn't make any fucking sense to anyone with two brain cells to rub together.
I don't know. I don't think the Chinese government said that. I think it's Western media putting Chinese people's words saying that.
So Professor Wang Jifu must have been paid by the CIA, I guess. Is that what you're saying?
I've heard there's one guy. There's one Chinese guy that was paid by the CIA. He said that China will fall. She says China will fall. And he said that like 20 years ago.
This is the most random non-response I've ever heard in my life. It's pathetically irrelevant to the conversation we're having. Do you believe Dr. Wang Jifu...
The Anglo's wet dreams, their fantasy, it didn't come true.
Is Dr. Wang Jifu a CIA agent?
CIA agent. CIA. Funny how CIA funded the Nayara testimony.
You're avoiding the question because you're nervous. It's okay if you're nervous.
So that it can be justifiable to bomb Muslims in the Middle East.
You're avoiding the question because you're nervous. I understand why you'd be nervous because you literally have nothing to say on this because the fucking country, the fucking government admitted to it. So it's really funny how nervous you get when I ask you, oh, the CIA, oh, I don't know. Well, I think I read an article maybe somewhere that's okay. So you admit you were full of shit.
On the CIA because of everything they've done. Right,
but that's really cute. It's adorable that you have your little hate boner for the CIA. I don't really care that much, and it has nothing to do with this doctor from the Chinese government who said that we were doing this, but we're going to stop by 2015.
All right, organ harvesting who? Prisoners?
Death row prisoners, taking the organs once they execute them. So we don't believe that happened because we read an article, but we don't know what article. We don't remember where it's from, even though the Chinese government admitted to doing it. Is that where we're at here? China's deputy health minister, by the way.
I'm not gonna believe that because there's still a lack of info.
There's still a lack of info when the Chinese government admitted that they were doing it back like 7 years ago. Really? Why did you think this conversation was a good idea?
So they admitted to doing that to prisoners Who are the prisoners then? Who are the prisoners?
Death row prisoners.
criminals?
Prisoners who are going to be put to death.
Oh, okay, but they're not Uyghurs, right? Isn't that what the whole situation is?
Okay, I'm sorry. I think you're really confused.
Organ harvesting Uyghurs?
No,
What?
that was not what we were talking about. So,
No, we weren't talking about that. Falun Gong. Falun Gong says that Uyghurs are getting organ harvested by Chinese people. What?
I've never seen Falun Gong say that. That's not what I was referring to. You made a comment on the video that we were arguing on my video, where you made a joking reference to the organ harvesting from Falun Gong practitioners in China and other political prisoners in China, raising increased concern.
But I don't believe that, because everything correlates to Adrian Zenz. You know, like the alliance. You know, right?
This has nothing to do with Adrian Zenz. Nothing about this has anything to do. We're not talking about the. To be clear, I'm not talking about the Uyghur thing right now.
Adrian Zenz, he fucking.
Can you stop talking over me? Are you so nervous? Are you so nervous about being called out on being wrong about this that you can't help but talk over me when I start giving you a point? So
I'm not nervous. I just believe Chinese.
Then why are you talking over me
Chinese
all the
Muslims.
time? Because you're afraid of what I'm going to say.
I just believe that Xinjiang will be stronger than ever in the future.
Okay, so right now
to the Chinese
we moved
people.
off of Xinjiang and the Uyghurs. We moved off of that because we started talking about the Falun Gong organ harvesting controversy that China admitted to back in 2015, which predates the Uyghur situation. I don't know if you realize that or not, because you mentioned it offhand in the YouTube comment.
I'm not gonna fall or believe in that. I'm not gonna fall and believe that because it's Falun Gong. And Falun Gong are the same people that believe in Uighur genocide and Uyghurs getting raped and killed. So why would I believe in a Falun Gong source?
It's not a Falun Gong source.
See what I mean?
They're organ harvesting Falun Gong practitioners. So they're taking Falun Gong people and people on death row, and they are taking their organs after executing them when they were on death row. This has nothing to do with Uyghurs. Are you still confused? Because you were really confused 2 seconds ago and you had no idea what I was talking about.
No, it does have to do with Uyghurs. Because Falun Gong...
No. This was in
because people- the Western media
2006.
says-
This started in 2006,
media-
which predates the
the Western
Uyghur
media-
issue. The concentration camps for the Uyghurs began being built in 2017. This is 11 fucking years before the concentration camps for Uyghurs. So this is completely unrelated to the Uyghurs.
No, I don't think the concentration camps, or whatever the fuck you're trying to say, was built in 2017.
Okay,
No.
well, guess what? The camps,
I don't
the
believe that.
camps,
I don't
the
think it's
camps,
20
the
I don't think it's
camps, the
2017.
camps, the camps that don't exist were 11 fucking years after the events I'm telling you about. So that's why I'm telling you this has nothing to do with
vocational
Uyghurs. Okay, so
vocational
the
training
vocational training centers that were built in 2017 were built 11 years after the event I'm telling you about. So they are completely unrelated to Uyghurs. Have you gotten that through your head yet, or are you still confused?
But why are we talking about Falun Gong when the
Because
whole
you
point of our
mentioned it.
conversation? No, when the whole point of our conversation was about if you believe Uyghurs are getting raped and killed.
Okay, you're
why are we
really-
talking about Falun Gong all of a sudden?
Why?
This is the
I
main
wonder
reason
why.
we're on Discord.
Can you
Yeah, this is the
wait?
main
Can you
reason we're on
guess why we're
Discord.
talking about that?
Well, because you believe Chinese people are raping Chinese Muslims, raping and killing them.
Do you
That's what
understand why we're
believe.
talking about the Falun Gong organ harvesting?
No, I don't understand because it
Okay,
has nothing to
I
do with
explained that
Uyghurs.
to you about 20 minutes
No,
ago.
'cause it has-
This
no,
is
because it has nothing to do with Uyghurs, right?
okay. You're
It's
still
going to
talking
you,
over
right?
me. You're still talking over me. Okay, I'm gonna tell you now. Don't start talking over me as soon as I start telling you. So you're really bad at listening. Okay, 20 minutes ago I told you. Okay, moving off the Xinjiang thing for a
I'm not
minute.
bad listening. I just feel like you just get nowhere.
Okay, so you're talking over me. You're saying you're not bad at listening, but you're interrupting me in the middle of my sentence once again while I'm explaining to you the thing that you're confused about. You said you were confused as to why we were talking about this, so I started explaining it to you. And every time I start explaining it to you, you start cutting me off, which means I never get to explain it to you because you don't want me to explain it to you because you don't want to look like an idiot. So I'm going to explain it to you again, okay?
I'm not going to talk about organ harvesting because it has nothing to do with Uyghurs, right?
Okay, so I'm going to explain to you why this happened.
Our whole Discord convo is about Uyghurs.
I'm going to explain this to you once more time. I'm going to explain this to you one more time. You're going to
in
cut
my
me off.
opinion-
You're going to cut me off in the middle. You're going to cut me off in the middle. You're going to cut me off in the middle. You're going to cut me off in the middle. You're going to cut me off in the middle. You're going to cut me off in the middle. You're going to cut me off in the middle.
Chinese Muslims
You're going to cut me off in the middle. You're going to cut me off in the middle. You're going to cut me off in the middle.
Chinese government.
You're going to cut me off in the middle.
Let's go.
But I'm going to keep going.
Yeah, go on.
So again, the reason why, and I hope you are happy, you're like really juvenile, whatever version of this video you put out. The reason we're talking about this is because I said we're going to put aside the Xinjiang thing for 1 minute because you mentioned offhand in a YouTube comment this stuff about Falun Gong, and I was curious about why you mentioned this, about the organ harvesting controversy related to Falun Gong in China that happened, that started to come out in 2006. So I asked you about it because you had mentioned it offhand. That's why I wanted to talk about it. Because while we were talking about Uyghurs, you randomly brought up the organ harvesting thing that had nothing to do with Uyghurs, as if it didn't happen. So I decided to address it. Do you understand now why we were talking about this topic?
No, I'm talking about Falun Gong because of people pretending to be Uyghurs and making up lies about Chinese people raping and killing them. Saying that it's East Turkestan, and who says all those things? And I said it's Falun Gong.
That's not what your comment was. I'm going to read your comment to you because you don't seem to remember your own comment. Hold on. Let me bring it up. Take me 2 seconds. Bring up the VOD. Indeed. 100%.
Bring up the VOD.
Okay. Organ.
Chinese people are united with Chinese Muslims.
Okay.
Go.
Falun Gong, organ harvesting crimes against humanity, apocalyptic violations of human rights, no freedom from the autonomous region of Uyghurs. So when you talked about Falun Gong, oh my goodness, I clicked on the wrong thing. When you talked about Falun Gong organ harvesting crimes, the organ harvesting crimes you were referring to are the controversy from 2006, which is much, much, much before any of the stuff related to Uyghurs was relevant. So that's what you referred to. You were talking about the Falun Gong organ harvesting crimes, and that's why I wanted to talk about it, because you talked about it as if to make fun of it, as if to make fun of the fact that it's another made-up thing that Western media made up that never happened. So we started talking about that, even though it was from 2006, which is decades before, or a decade before at least, the stuff with the Uyghurs was happening. Are you still confused as to why we're talking about this?
No, you know how you say that I'm talking about Falun Gong, and you says, "Oh, why am I talking about it? Because it's in 2006 and all that, right?" But I'm talking about Falun Gong because they're claiming that Uyghurs are getting organ harvested, according to Western media, and I don't believe that. That's why I'm talking about Falun Gong.
You're not talking about the organ harvesting stuff from 2006 that moved on to 2015. You're not talking about that. This is a different organ harvesting Falun Gong related thing.
Oh yeah, of course. Let's talk about that then.
Okay.
2015 organ harvesting.
So you're telling me, hold on. Okay. I love this. So there's stuff from 2006 where Falun Gong people and people on death row were being organ harvested by the Chinese government. They admitted to it. And then Falun Gong later in the current day is saying that they did the same thing to Uyghurs, and you don't believe them, even though the Chinese government has admitted to doing it before. So you're just very gullible, aren't you?
Oh, I'm not, because it wouldn't make sense of why they're doing organ harvesting to Uyghurs. It wouldn't make any sense.
I know why. Because there are death row people that are going to die anyway, and they want to give organs to members, the citizens of their own country in order to keep them alive. Does that sound like a motivation to you?
It doesn't, because according to the Chinese government, the Chinese people recognize the Uyghurs as part of them, and that Xinjiang should be protected.
What does that have to do with death row prisoners and their organs? Well, if a Uyghur's on death row and they decide to harvest their organs, you think the Chinese person they save is going to be against that? I'm curious.
I think Uyghurs and prisoners are two different people.
Not in Xinjiang they aren't, but I know you disagree with that one.
All I know is Chinese people made Chinese Muslims' lives better and safer and healthier.
Yeah, you repeat that 8 more times, buddy. If you repeat it 8 more, it'll be more convincing, and you might convince people that don't already agree with you.
In your brain, you want to believe that Chinese people are evil.
Do you remember?
It's all good though.
Do you remember the
It's
part of the
fantasy.
conversation where I specifically said that it
it's
wasn't
fantasy.
because that, and that was because the Chinese government censored the information they have access to? A point that you admitted to, by the way, which makes you look really fucking stupid when you decide to use China government, their version of
I don't think it makes
statistics.
me stupid. I don't think it makes me stupid.
You don't
Because
think
I
it's
just
stupid to take the word of a
don't think
government
it-
you admit censors information it gives out to people and take that as evidence that they're not doing anything wrong? That doesn't sound stupid to you.
Well, that's why I said censorship sometimes can be a good thing. But
It's a good thing when it fits into your narrative, isn't it?
But in the Western media, they say that censorship is always bad. I don't think censorship is entirely bad.
No, we don't believe it's always bad. We also censor illegal porn. We also do that here. I don't know if you know that. That was the example that you brought up.
Yeah, exactly.
Also, social media companies. So
double standard. There's something that makes no fucking sense. There's a double standard in this shit.
someone here doesn't make someone here doesn't make any fucking sense. You're right about that.
There's a double standard in this. That's why.
What's the double standard? Can you explain that to me?
Yeah, I'll give you an example.
Okay.
Mike Pompeo, he's an Islamophobe. He hates Muslims.
Probably.
Now all of a sudden, he cares about Chinese Muslims. That's the double standard, right? He makes no fucking sense, and he's only saying that just to demonize China.
Politicians say cynical stuff that they don't necessarily believe in themselves all the time. That doesn't mean that
No,
China's not doing
why-
this.
No, that's why this whole situation about saying Uyghurs are facing a genocide, this whole situation, I think, is just another way of smearing China, demonizing Chinese people.
Oh, I wanted to ask you about that actually. So earlier you asked me for the motivation.
That's why Asians around the
Oh
world
my
are getting
god!
killed.
You have to continue
that's
your
right.
5-minute
Asians around the
dialogue
world
tree
get-
about how you hate Mike Pompeo as if I like him. Okay, so I wanted to ask you about that
Pompeo agrees with
actually.
you, though. Hey, Mike Pompeo and you have the same mindset though.
About
Both-
how
both you guys-
China is genociding Uyghurs? Yes, we do. We agree on that one issue. You're correct.
Nice.
Okay, so oh wow, I agree with him on something.
Pompeo.
Okay.
Mike Pompeo.
So anyway,
Yeah.
I wanted to
That's good,
ask
bro.
you about that. Earlier, you asked me what motivation China could have to genocide Uyghurs. And I gave you the motivation that I believe that they had. And the motivation I gave you that China would have was be that they're a minority that they think is viable to commit extremism, that they're a poor minority they want to force into work, and that they want to serve the interests of the majority at the expense of the minority. So I gave you that. What would be the incentive for the United States, Canada, and the other 3 countries that you hate so much to lie and pretend like China is genociding a minority when they're actually not? Can you give me that motivation, please? Why would they why would they lie about that?
Well, because they're fake about it.
That's not an answer. What's their motivation?
No, let me talk. Let me talk for 1 minute. Mm-hmm. Oh no, you got all these Western people. I love Chinese Muslims. I love Uyghurs. Stop raping and killing them. Stop doing all this, right? But when I see that, it is not genuine. They don't give a fuck about Chinese Muslims. They don't give a fuck about Chinese
You're not answering my question. It's very funny, but keep going. You're making yourself look dumber and dumber as you continue to not answer my question.
If Westernized people really genuinely care about Chinese Muslims, they would do more deep research on what's going on, right? There's people that talk about...
You mean like watching more YouTube
that
videos,
Chinese
right?
people-
Because one of us has done
Chinese
research for this
people-
conversation, and it wasn't you,
No,
bud,
there's
but keep
people-
going.
No, the Westernized people believe that Chinese people are raping and killing Chinese Muslims when they have never heard of an incident called Urumqi 2009. They never heard of extremist terrorist attacks at all. I wonder why. You know why? Because those informations would be in favor of China's side on what's happening to Xinjiang.
What was the question I asked you
what-
that led
that's
you to
what-
say all that? Do you remember what my question was? Was I asking you whether or not Americans love Chinese Muslims, or what was my question? Do you remember?
Yeah, you're saying that why are Western media calling out China's crimes on Chinese people raping Chinese Muslims?
Yeah, what's their
Why-
motivation? Okay,
why-
so you understand
why-
that you did not answer my question, right?
Motivation? No, what's their motivation?
Yes.
To demonize China.
Yes.
So that
Why?
they can, because the reason why they're demonizing China is because the Chinese people, they're making their country economically the most powerful in the future.
And then, so why would they demonize
No,
them? Why would they
and
get on
the-
China's bad side if that's the case? That makes the opposite of
No,
sense.
because they're Chinese.
Okay.
They're not Anglos. They're like, these guys are they're fucking Chinese. They're fucking communism. They're fucking communists. They're fucking commies. Fucking evil Chinese motherfuckers. No, we don't want that. We're Anglos. we're not gonna let China become the #1 power in the world.
You realize that no one in the West calls themselves Anglos. You understand that, right? You're the one who obsessively uses that term. No one in the West here uses that term.
Yeah, I know that.
No.
I know that.
Okay, so.
All right, I'll say that. Okay, I'll say that because I'm a proud fucking American, right? America, they promote themselves. We have freedom. We are a freedom country. China has no freedom. They have no freedom of speech. America's the greatest country in the world.
You're saying you're still not answering my question, right? You haven't given me a motivation.
If China all of a sudden become the #1 country in the world, it would defy their beliefs. They'd be like, what the fuck?
Then why are we helping them do that by being trade partners with them?
Communist country. They're fucking evil. They don't belong to me #1, right? So we're gonna make up propaganda. We're gonna make up stories. We're gonna say Chinese people are evil. And by saying that, we're gonna say Chinese people are raping and killing Chinese Muslims, right? But how do we convince people? How do we convince people? Oh, satellite images, articles, video protests.
You still haven't given me a motivation. You've been talking for like 5 minutes. You haven't given me a single motivation.
Concrete evidence. But hey, their concrete evidence does not convince me because I look on both sides.
I've seen your thought process. I've seen the judgment you're capable of, and I don't care if it convinces you, because clearly you're lost beyond help if you're setting YouTube videos. Anyway, as I was saying, you haven't given me a motivation other than we're Anglos. That's not a motivation. What is the motivation for the United States government, the Canadian government, whatever European governments you don't like, to go ahead and lie to defame China, who is their trading partner, who they benefit from?
Because they're the Five Eyes. Exactly. What you just said. That makes no sense.
They benefit from China. They benefit from trading with China. Okay, so
exactly right. Australia and China, they're really good trading partners, right? Exactly. And why is Australia demonizing China? That's the thing. It makes no fucking sense.
Do you think? Wait.
I'm pretty sure China.
You just pointed out that it makes no sense. You just pointed out that it makes no sense for the U.S. and all these countries to demonize China when they're trading partners with them. Do you realize that the thing that doesn't make sense is you? Do you realize that you're the one who doesn't make sense here? No. Because you're saying that the United States and Canada and Australia and the European countries are all acting against their own interest to get on the bad side of China when that's something they wouldn't normally want to do. And you're saying it makes no sense. Yes. What you're saying is, hey, Zaler, I make no sense. I make no sense and I'm full of shit. That's what you're saying. There's no motivation that the United States would have and that Canada would have and all these other European countries would have to fuck with China in this way if it wasn't true. Because they're trading partners. They like to keep smooth diplomatic relations with this country. They don't like to step on their toes. That's why we didn't really do anything about it. When you keep saying, oh, it doesn't make sense. Oh, it doesn't make sense. What you're saying is, hey, Zaler, I'm an idiot and I don't make sense. But I'm going to keep repeating what I'm saying anyway. Do you understand that that's what you're saying? Do you understand that you have not provided a motivation for the United States to do this?
Yeah, it makes no sense. At the end of the day, I think it makes no sense.
Okay, so you agree that there is no motivation for the United States to do this?
That's why I see comments saying that they should cut ties to China. You know, like, oh, if you see products of made in China, oh, don't buy that fucking product. Have you seen those comments? You see those comments, right?
I've seen people. I don't use YouTube comments as my barometer, but I do know people who feel that way about China. Yes.
No, if there's a product that's made in China, I see these people. These patriotic people, this says, oh, don't buy products that are made in China. Fucking China, right?
Okay.
It makes no sense. But people are going to buy them anyways. You know why? Because the Chinese products, they're cheap.
Yes.
Right?
Correct.
And then people says, oh, Chinese products are cheap. Ew, it's made in China. They break easily. Right? They would do that, right?
Okay.
But then there's a reason why there's a reason why it's affordable, right? It's cheap and affordable, right? Of course, the quality is not going to be
right, because in China people get paid less. Yes, I agree.
That's where this whole thing.
Okay, and we benefit from that. I understand that. Yes.
They demonize China so much, but they still want to be trading partners. That's why I don't understand.
Because they're not demonizing China. They're pointing out truth, and you're full of it.
No, they are demonizing China.
They're pointing out something that's actually happening.
Western countries are demonizing China. They're demonizing Chinese people.
They're not demonizing Chinese people. They're pointing out something that's actually happening and telling them to stop it. No, that's what's happening.
And if you don't agree with me, that means you don't agree with any Chinese people on social media. There's Chinese people. They call this out. They say, "Oh, this is just a demonization of China."
When I look for whose side to take on issues, I don't look to fucking social media because I'm not mentally unwell. Do you understand that? When Why you keep citing social media at me? Your relationship with social media is unhealthy, and it has literally rotted your brain out. It's a brain cancer, and you need to chemo it. Do you understand?
Of course, social media is cancer. That's why.
Then why are you citing it to me as if I'm gonna give a fuck what people say on social media?
That's why I don't believe in the Anglo worshippers. You know.
What, white nationalists? I don't like them either. If that's who Anglo worshippers are, I have no idea who that is. Anyway, as I was saying, do you understand that you have not given me? Do you have not given me a motivation for the United States to engage in this if this was not true? Do you understand that you have not done that? You have failed miserably to answer that question.
So why do you believe Chinese people are raping Chinese Muslims? Can you give me an explanation? Why do you believe that?
The reason why I believe the Chinese government is forcibly sterilizing and driving down the birth rate of Uyghurs and forcing them into labor against their will is because of all the leaked government documents that we've discussed that you don't like, all the budgets, all the statistics, the fact that the sterilization rate in that one region has gone up.
Okay.
And the precision with the Chinese government has targeted this one minority.
Okay.
And the fact that the Chinese government has a motivation to do this, and the U.S. government and the Canadian government and all those governments have no motivation, as you've just shown, to lie about it.
Let's assume it's true. Then why do the Chinese people support the Chinese government's action?
Because the Chinese government censors the information that they have access to, something that you agreed to, and they don't actually think it's happening because they're being lied to by their authoritarian government that controls all of the state media.
I don't think Chinese people are that stupid.
You don't have to be stupid.
Smart.
It has nothing to do with Chinese people being stupid.
No.
It has to do with the fact that they have no access to information. You could be the smartest motherfucker in the world. If your government controls the information you have access to, you are not going to know what is going on. It doesn't matter how smart you are.
Okay, then how come there are some videos on YouTube of Uyghurs explaining that their life is better and safer now thanks to the Chinese government? Why are they saying that?
Because they know that if they talk shit about the Chinese government, when an outside reporter asks them what's going on, they know that if they talk shit about their government, they're going to pay the price, and they're probably going to the camps.
So what you're saying is those Uyghurs that talked about that, in the back of their mind, oh no, if I say something bad about the government, I'm gonna be back to my camps. Oh, I gotta lie to the Western YouTubers that visit Xinjiang. And I'm being interviewed.
Yes.
And pretend that my life is healthier and safer now.
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
Yes, I don't know why you're acting indignant, because that's exactly what would happen under authoritarian government. You would be afraid to criticize the government in order to face their wrath.
I respect your opinion. I respect your opinion.
Okay.
Right? But in my opinion, I think the Uyghurs, in their heart, they're fucking genuine. They're like, yes, the Chinese people did help me. They did make my life safer. There's no more terrorist attacks. I learned skills now. I have jobs now.
And you believe that all the Uyghurs who were from the camps, who were in the camps, who were in interviews said that shit was going down. You believe that all of those Uyghurs aren't genuine, though, because they don't say the thing you already agree with.
Yeah, I don't think that the Uyghurs that are siding with Western media, they're not genuine. Right?
How do you determine whether a Uyghur is being genuine or not genuine?
They're not genuine because China's info explain why they're not genuine.
So you made it very clear here that all of your opinions aren't based on fact. You made a point earlier in this discussion to say that all my stuff was based on fact and all of yours was based on opinion, so I thank you for that. Your opinions are on a shoddy foundation with no basis in reality. You can't back up anything you say. You refer constantly to YouTube videos and YouTube comments and social media instead of academic sources or something that isn't straight from the Chinese government itself, which is obviously going to say it's not doing anything wrong. And you think that it's, you think that's a proper way to determine what is true and what isn't in this world.
I just think that it makes more sense to me that Chinese people are making Chinese Muslims' lives better, safer, and healthier. It makes more sense that they're doing that action instead of sterilizing them and raping them and killing them.
That must be a very comforting thing for you to tell yourself at night.
Yeah.
I hope that helps you sleep. Right? It's been real.
Yeah, it helps me sleep. And I can't wait in 10 years. I want to see what Xinjiang's like. I can't wait to see what the people that live in Xinjiang, how they're doing, right?
Fantastic.
According to sterilizations, that would mean the Uyghurs, their entire race, their entire culture will be gone, will be genocided, will be destroyed by Chinese people.
Actually,
right?
no.
Hey,
It could just
hey,
reduce their growth.
I'm not gonna believe that. I'm not gonna believe that.
All right. Well, it's been real. It's been fun. It ain't been real fun. I might have to go chemo my own brain after this. I don't know if brain cancer can be caught from an Ethernet cable, but good luck. Thank you for the conversation.
Hey, I know that you want to believe that Chinese people are raping and killing Chinese Muslims, but for my belief, I truly believe that Chinese people made Chinese Muslims live a better, safer, and healthier life. That is my opinion. All right, see ya, bro.
See ya, bro. I was actually worried because the only other time I've done a debate argument like this was with John Dion, a white nationalist guy who was trying to pretend like he didn't know what it was when he called himself a white nationalist. I thought that this guy was going to be one of those weird fucking radical, like, tanky, you know, China defending people who have a million fucking links to a million conspiracy things, and that he was going to overwhelm me with a torrent of bullshit. I thought that was going to happen. I wasn't expecting him to completely fall apart and start talking about YouTube videos. And I thought that I was facing a real extremist and a real, like, genocide apologist who would, like, fucking go to his 4chan pastebin and throw shit at me that I knew nothing about and couldn't engage with in the moment, and that I would look bad because I don't know literally everything about everything. I thought that's what was going to happen. I didn't expect him to make an idiot out of himself almost every turn. Like, that time where he said that there's anti-China sentiment among the Uyghurs, and then in the next breath said that this Chinese girl wearing a mask that showed dissent against China. Oh, clearly a Uyghur child wouldn't be doing that. Must be funded by Falun Gong. They're probably not even Uyghur. Like, that he would obsess over these minor details that didn't even matter to his argument, that just made him look like a fucking idiot, and like he was desperate to think the CIA was involved in everything. I didn't expect him to make himself look that weak in that argument. I guess I should have gotten that impression with his YouTube comments. They are fucking crazy. Or the time, what was the other thing I caught him on? The time when he said that the reason for all the terrorist attacks from Uyghurs was related to the CIA, and then later tried to say, oh, well, actually all the terrorism stopped with the vocational schools, trained people to work and not want to do terrorism. It's like, wait, was it the CIA or was it the lack of training? Which was it? He was not prepared for the conversation. He's had conversations in the past with people who were very stupid. He wasn't prepared to have serious questions asked of him. Like, he never had... I don't think I'm, like, crazy intelligent or anything. People think that. I don't... But this guy was just not ready to have someone who thought about this for more than 10 minutes tell him he was full of shit. He just wasn't ready. Hold on. It's crazy. Now I kind of want to look up extremist Xinjiang stuff. Uyghurs Xinjiang terrorism. The attack in Kunming. The Xinjiang conflict. Okay, I meant to make that a new tab. Yeah, like, I believed that this stuff was happening, which is why I didn't research it for the conversation. because it was my vague understanding that this was true. So I wasn't gonna fight him on it. It also wasn't related to my point at all. But oh shit, hold on. But yeah, so government policies promoting Chinese cultural unity and punishing expressions of Uyghur identity and harshest responses to separatism have contributed to tension between the Uyghurs and state police and Han Chinese. This has taken the form of both terrorist attacks and wider public unrest, such as the Barron Township riot, the 97 Urumqi bus bombings protesting Gujila, and the Shaoguan incident. These riots, this attack, that bunch of attacks. Well, I had no stake in saying that this never happened. It seems like it did happen. But I just thought it was funny that he was desperate to sideline to this. It's really funny. You could always tell when someone knows they're full of shit, because they will, in one breath, tell you something isn't happening, and in the other breath, give you excuses as to why it has to happen. You know, it's very clear that he knew what he was doing. But all right, well, that's the conversation. Many months ago, I made a video on this channel, a very small video, possibly unlisted, mostly meant to be shared with the subreddit Our Destiny. It was mostly quick highlights from Destiny's debate with an individual named Kim Iverson. He had criticized her for denying the genocide that the Chinese government was committing against the Uyghur minority. A YouTube commenter, the mighty YouTube commenter, clearly the cream of the crop of society, jumped in to both defend Kim and attack Destiny and attack me for making the video, and went on a rant about how China wasn't genociding Uyghurs, how it was all a lie by Western media, and all the typical lines that these types of people, will do in order to deny genocide. This guy's YouTube avatar is Ratchet and Clank. It's not relevant, but it is just funny to me. I don't understand how that's... I don't know why. All he does on his YouTube channel, literally, he has 5 videos on his YouTube channel where all he does is make short videos of him arguing with Americans, quote unquote, assuming they aren't just sock puppet accounts he created himself, which, if you watch the conversations, they probably are. It's a little ridiculous. And the point of his whole channel is denying the China genocide of the Uyghurs. So, you know, clearly something that Ratchet and Clank would be proud of. After arguing with this guy in the comments and going back and forth for a while, he demanded that I jump in a Discord call with him. The funny thing is, I predicted the way that this conversation would go before it even started, and I told him, I'm going to provide you some academic sources demonstrating how the Chinese genocide against the Uyghurs is going. You are going to say, oh, it's Western media, so I can't believe it. Oh, it's not trustworthy, blah, blah, blah. You're going to link some stuff from the Chinese government saying that it's not happening. Go figure. Wow, the people being accused deny it. Can you believe it? And then I'm going to tell you that that information is not credible. And then we're going to argue back and forth and nothing's going to be resolved. What I wasn't expecting was how he would repeatedly contradict himself and make a fool of himself during the conversation. He would constantly talk about how he wanted to see evidence. But when I linked him evidence, his response was to send me YouTube videos instead. In this entire conversation, I sent multiple links to him, multiple articles. I literally have the links to actual leaked government documents that are PDFs online now. I have all of this. And this guy is sending me YouTube videos, and he sent me one link of a statement by the Chinese government. And that statement by the Chinese government was basically saying that the statistics around the declining Uyghur birth rate and the increased rate of sterilization amongst them was inaccurate. And that was all this statement was. At one point of the conversation, and you'll see it come up, he hilariously admitted that the facts and research were on my side, and that I was focusing on facts and research. But he said that he was focusing on what he believed, you know, personally, from all the videos that he watched, and his perception of who was telling the truth. Because, you know, to him, and he literally says this, the YouTube videos and the academic sources that I provided stand on the same ground to him. So that's where his brain is coming from. The sort of China apology and the denial of the Uyghur genocide that you can see, doesn't just come from the Chinese government or people who live under the Chinese government who are subject to its propaganda. That cancerous tumor has also spread in some respects to the United States. They should be treated the exact same way as Nazis. They have just as many conspiracy theories about the CIA that the Nazis had about and have about Jewish people. They are just as desperate to preserve their own narrative, despite any facts or any inconvenient truths that they do not like, that do not fit their narrative. I hope you enjoy watching him frantically repeat his memorized talking points in a desperate attempt to distract from the fact that he has YouTube videos and I have actual evidence. And I hope you enjoy this 2-hour conversation. Hi, editing Zaler here. I never mentioned this during the debate, but didn't he lump together New Zealand and Australia in with Western media? Someone could correct me if there's some reason for this, but aren't those countries literally as east as you could possibly fucking get? They're literally on the eastern corner of the fucking map. How are they Western media? Is it just anyone who criticizes China is Western media? Can someone fill me in on this? Am I the asshole?